Did you guys see that absolutely amazing sports ball game? Oh my god, that was just, it was crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Thoughts on France's performance? Well, you know, the French team kind of sucks, so they've always been like that. Bad at football. Always and forever. Who wins, England or Argentina? Didn't Argentina Operation Paperclip in a whole team from Europe?
Pocketing billions of dollars for himself while he drives up prices for the American people. He fears defeat in the midterms, and that explains his spiral into conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories that put Georgia Republicans in a terrible bind. Because now not only do they have to defend this president's economic record, not only do they have to defend doubling health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians, they also have to defend all of these bizarre conspiracy theories coming out of the White House. Finally, all this does is motivate Georgians to vote. All this does is galvanize the determination of Georgia voters to defy these cynical efforts to instill fear and intimidation. Happy to take a few questions.
Senator,
and then we'll go to you.
Senator, you have said a lot of things about the president, called him corrupt. I believe you said he's acted deranged in the past. And now if he does come out and call for voter fraud, do you think it's time to
call for a coup?
Invoke the 25th Amendment, in your view?
I think it's time for the president to do something of value for the American people instead of lining his own pockets while he's in office.
Senator, Tia, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to talk about what could be the role of Congress. Like, there's so much speculation that the president this week could announce, you know, whether his investigation, he's directed the Department of Justice to look into the election in Georgia. You know, if he says he's found something and tries to get the Department of Justice to act, what can you or other members of Congress do, if anything?
Look, the abuses of power, the abuses of federal power, the misconduct is unprecedented. That is why Donald Trump so deeply fears his impending losses in these midterm elections, because he recognizes that when there's a change in the balance of power in Washington, there will be real transparency and accountability imposed, and he and those who have enabled him will have to answer for their misconduct.
Senator, have you had any sort of contact by the Department of Justice, by investigators? Has your campaign or anyone associated with you been contacted about any of your elections and asked questions about it as part of an investigation that you're aware of?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And to answer, just to kind of follow up on what Tia said, if they declare your election ineligible, what can you actually do about that to prevent some sort of lack of faith in the system to the voters of Georgia?
Again, just consider for a moment that we understand the president may be threatening to declare sitting United States senators illegitimate.
Well, one might be dead.
If that is the course of action he pursues, he is calling Georgia voters illegitimate. From the very moment Georgia voters rejected him in 2020, he's been on the warpath because he was humiliated by the rebuke that Georgians dealt him. And he was humiliated and furious in particular as a committed lifelong racist that it was black voters in Georgia who were instrumental in his
Committed.
defeat.
A lifelong, a committed racist. Not a normal racist, a committed racist.
I don't comment on Intelligence Committee matters.
Has anyone told you what exactly the president might even be accusing you or Warnock of doing here, or voters of doing?
No. We got time for one more question, guys.
What do you say to your Republican colleagues who may agree with the president on this?
I don't know of Republican colleagues who agree with the president on this. Privately, most elected Republicans...
Damn.
Of doing here, or voters of doing?
No. We got time for one more. Intelligence Committee matter.
What was this guy? What was his background before being a senator? What did he do beforehand?
About election interference.
That answer was...
I don't comment on Intelligence Committee matters.
Has anyone
I don't talk about that shit.
Told you what may agree with the president on this?
I don't know of Republican colleagues who agree with the president on this. Privately, most elected Republicans in this building think the president has lost it and is dooming them
Privately,
to
they never
dismal
say it
losses
publicly,
this fall.
motherfuckers.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Mike
Pleasure
Collins
spending
agrees
some
with
time
them, though. Mike Collins agrees with them that the election was stolen.
Uh-oh.
Let's see how Mike Collins handles this now. Mike Collins launched his general election campaign doubling down on 2020 election denialism. Now he not only has to defend doubling health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians. He has to defend these conspiracy theories about the 2020 election that Georgia voters have rejected time and time again. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Damn.
Israeli civilians are dying in these attacks because of the apartheid. You know, Palestinians have a right to kill Israeli soldiers, Congressman. On October 7th, when they attacked the military bases in the Gaza envelope, did the Qassam brigades and Sarai al-Quds have a right to kill Israeli soldiers?
Just as a heads up, I know it doesn't matter because literally nobody gives a fuck about any international law or whatever ever. It really doesn't matter. Wait.
Yes or no?
You can only kill military combatants that are parties to an armed conflict, okay? People seem to misunderstand this and think that you can kill soldiers at any point in time. That's not true. You can't kill soldiers when you're not in an armed conflict with somebody. People do this thing with Hamas's attack where they pretend that, half of the people they killed or 400 people they killed were soldiers. That doesn't matter. It was a surprise attack on a country that you're not currently involved in armed conflict with. It doesn't matter if you surprise attack civilians, soldiers, gooners. It doesn't matter. It's still considered a not good thing to do, not good kill, war crime. Because people keep trying to focus on this where they're like, they killed X amount of soldiers. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can't do that.
In these attacks because of the apartheid. You know, Palestinians have a right to kill Israeli soldiers, Congressman. On October 7th, when they attacked the military...
I can't fucking believe this. Was it Ryan Grimm? These people are supposed to be reporters for so long. Was it Ryan Grimm that I had that debate on his show? And he was like, do you really think you're allowed to kill soldiers that are retreating, that have dropped their guns? And I'm like, is that a serious question? Yeah, of course you can. He's like, you think if a soldier drops his gun, you can kill him? If he's not surrendering, yeah, you can't just drop your gun and retreat and like, oh, can't shoot me, no gun. Like, yeah, of course you can kill somebody unless they've surrendered. It was Omar Badar. No, it was a debate with Omar Badar, but I think it was Ryan Grimm who brought up the point. He's like, you can't just, if you can kill a soldier without a gun, yeah, if you're parties to an armed conflict, an ongoing armed conflict.
Bases in the Gaza envelope, did the Qassam brigades and Sarai al-Quds have a right to kill Israeli soldiers? Yes or no?
On
October 7th, did Palestine...
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, I hate him so much. I'm sorry, I don't hate him. Rokan is so profound, sorry. Al-Qassam Brigades is the name of the military arm for Hamas. I don't think Rokan knows that, so he just got thrown off because white boy over here wants to use funny terms to... This Hill guy is also a subhuman piece of shit. This guy is one of the... I would never trust anything. Actually, this is a good reporter to read if you're trying to become super informed on a thing, because you just read what he writes and you believe the exact opposite and you will be 100% correct. This guy is insane. Ryan is almost as bad, but the Hill guy is like... I want to say some journalist level, Blumenthal levels of fucking insanity. I don't know the other thing he said. It sounds like the two biggest entities in Gaza were Hamas, and then their militant wing is called Al-Qassam Brigades, and then there's Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and their militant wing is called, I think, Al-Quds Brigades. It sounds like he's saying Quds something. Maybe there's an even more fancy term for it. But
Israeli soldiers, yes or no?
On
October 7th, did
Rokan didn't know the names of that. I don't know, whatever.
Palestinians have a right to attack Israeli military bases in the Gaza envelope, yes or no?
Well, the Geneva Convention has noted that, Destiny. So for all the countries that have signed on a certain international treaties, killing retreating soldiers is illegal. That is not true. Show me. There's no world where that's true. You can retreating is part of combat. You can't just say, oh, my back's turned, you can't shoot me. No.
I think October 7th attack was a terrorist attack, so I don't justify.
Was it a terrorist attack when the first targets that were hit on the morning of October 7th where multiple military bases did
Disgusting,
Palestinian
subhuman,
forces
disgusting, subhuman fuck. There is no world where the left can escape. The far left can escape from saying they are anti-Semitic. And every Jew that fucking cries about them all being anti-Semitic, they're 100% validated when these are your star players. He thinks that this guy believes, I can already tell you 100%. He believes that the majority of the people killed on October 7th were killed by the IDF. He thinks that civilian casualties might have been messy, but they were incidental. It was never the plan. Doesn't believe in any mass rapes. He wrote a story that I don't think he believed in a single fucking rape, potentially. Or if a rape happened, it was just sometimes they happen. But more Israeli dogs that rape Palestinians. And that the October 7th attack was a valid military attack, and there just happened to be a festival going on, and whoops.
Have a right to attack those military bases.
I am not for violence again in any way. I mean, I am for making sure that we end the.
This is another thing they don't understand this also, and I can say this with greater certainty now as I've talked to more of these people. These guys don't understand the landscape right now, the political landscape. They really are far behind. Ro Khanna doesn't understand who these people are, what their political beliefs are, or what this conversation is. Like he doesn't understand that these talking points that he uses to assuage like progressives aren't going to work in like a tanky environment. I don't think he's aware of that. I don't know if they'll get to it, but his position that he gave when he was speaking with Hasan, who tries to be mask on, was nowhere near extreme enough. Where he said he'd still fund defensive weapons to Israel. That's a deal breaker for these guys. I don't think he realizes it though.
I mean, I am for making sure that we end the occupation. Do they
have a right to do it, Congressman? Do they have a right to attack Israeli soldiers?
No, I'm not going to say that Hamas had a right to attack Israeli soldiers or kill Israelis. Like I don't think that advances peace or advances Palestinian statehood.
Ooh.
Does Israel have a right to drop a single bomb on Gaza in response to October 7th?
I believe Israel had the right to get people who killed the civilians, but not in the way they went about it, which I've said is genocide.
Not good.
But the Palestinians don't have a right to attack the very military bases that are running the killing operations on October 6th, 2023, or October 5th, 2023. It's a double standard. You're saying there are ways that Israel should be able to kill Palestinians, but there is never a condition under which Palestinians can attack armed, uniformed soldiers of a force that is still considered an occupying force under international law. I don't make it make sense to me how those two things.
Salo, thank you for the 5 gifted subs and cake chat. You're
from a tradition of
I get to eat today because of you. Thank you.
King and Gandhi. My grandfather was.
This guy's grandfather's Gandhi? What the fuck?
In jail.
I'm aware of your family history. Do you think King would say, "Well, they can attack the Viet Cong, but I don't want them to kill."
I don't think anyone. I don't know what Gandhi would say. I don't think my grandfather would say that the Palestinians should have armed resistance to Israeli occupation. I think they would argue for a much more nonviolent approach. But America, I think, in ending
these guys want all the Israeli Jewish people to be killed. I'm not joking. That is their position. They think it's totally justified. They think it would be totally 100% justified.
In ending military sales, in not being a defender of Israel in the UN, just vetoing resolutions against Israel would make tremendous progress. I mean, maybe we're on a scale of 1 to 10, and you're at a 10, and I'm saying let's go to a 6, 7, 8. I don't know where that would be. And right now, America's at a 1.
We're at a 10 because of
Israel.
Genocide that was enabled, supported, armed, and funded by the United States. And I am baffled as to how you can say that Israel had a right to drop a single bomb on Gaza in response to October 7th, but Palestinians, according to you, have no right whatsoever to ever kill Israeli.
Palestinians have a right to justice, which is
justice.
In the
they have a right to
killing every Jew,
killing every Jew,
kill them all, kill all the Jews.
Do they ever have a right to kill an Israeli soldier?
I think if it's a self-defense, if they feel like there's an illegal attack.
Like, it's just so, can't I expect more? They're the Congress people. Shouldn't they know a little bit? You just went over to Israel and you don't know anything. Self-defense doesn't matter. Self-defense is an analysis that you engage in for domestic affairs. You do not need self-defense when it comes to law of armed conflict, okay? Law of international conflict. If I am at war with another country, I don't need to say self-defense to shoot and kill an enemy combatant. That's retarded. I understand why we're kind of saying it. He's saying it because he's just thinking of it as a domestic issue, but the analysis is completely different. Like an actual analysis. The domestic analysis versus law of armed conflict. Who cares? Don't care.
Back on them by a violent settler or by an Israeli soldier, and that's illegal. In a school or on a civilian, and then of course they should have justice.
But the entire thing.
What's the argument for why attacking the military base wasn't allowable under war? Because the two people weren't in an active armed conflict with each other. So, for instance, you can argue that like Hamas has like military people, and if Hamas has military people, and Israel decides to do like some surprise attack or attack on those people, if they're not like actively engaged in warfare with each other, that would also be considered an illegal attack. Now, you can argue that they're always at war with each other, which Israel probably sort of does when they're attacking Hamas, but like Hamas could try to sort of make that answer back when they're attacking Israel, but like none of this is okay. None of it is like allowed or legal. Like everybody would be involved in war crimes here. Is the occupation of the West Bank not considered some form of armed conflict? Not really, kind of, but the problem is like everybody wants it every way at all points in time, and it's hard to say. This is one of the reasons why the whole conflict is so fucking stupid for Israel not trying to resolve it in a meaningfully quicker way, because it makes everything really difficult to have a meaningful conversation about. Because the way that you would treat an occupied territory versus the way that you would treat an like a domestic, like a territory you own, would be completely different. So like one of the criticisms that people will give when they say that Israel is engaged in a type of war crime is that if you have a territory under military occupation, you can't move a civilian population into it. It's like conquering. You can't do that, right? So if Israel wants to say that the West Bank is occupied territory, then they can't really be like inhabiting it or like moving people in. But then Israel or Israelis will come and they'll say, well, no, it's not occupied territory. We're just like trying to figure out the land situation or whatever. It's not, we don't consider it occupied. Well, it's like, okay, well, fine. If you don't consider it occupied, then why can't the people there vote? Because now you're giving a lot of credence to the apartheid comment, right? If it's not occupied, then it's just part of your territory, except none of the people there that are Palestinians can vote. And all the Israelis that live in the West Bank, my understanding is these can still vote in Israeli elections. The state of affairs has gone on for so long. It's actually so fucking stupid. There is basically no legal way for Palestinians to defend themselves. They can get infinitely occupied, blockaded, kidnapped, and thrown in military jail. No. If there's like an active like back and forth between like any Israeli soldiers that were killed after October 7th, they're probably fair game, or the ones showing up in helicopters and guns and shit, that's fair game, at least as far as like international law is concerned. But but like surprise attacks, even when they're on soldiers, are not technically considered like, that's not like considered a good thing. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Thing is illegal, Representative Khanna. The entire occupation of Gaza, the managing their diet.
Another difference is also Hamas is not a lawful combatant, so they aren't protected by the laws of armed conflict as far as surprise attacks go. Wrong. I've never in my life seen anything ever that justifies the concept of a like we used to say this a lot when it came to Guantanamo. That like, oh well, if you're not uniformed, then that means that you're not like a party to an armed conflict or whatever. That's not true. I've never seen anything written out anywhere that justifies that. That just seems like a thing Americans said to make us feel better about shocking balls of Guantanamo Bay people. Somebody said, are surprise attacks illegal? What makes an attack not surprise if those are illegal? Do you have to explicitly say we are going to attack you? No. Like if you're not currently in a state of war with each other, and then somebody attacks somebody, that's always considered a bad thing. I mean, think about it from a United Nations perspective. You don't really want countries ever going to war with each other, right? So technically, starting wars is not okay according to the UN. So every initiation of war is illegal then? Technically, yeah. You should only really be responding to a thing, right? But I mean, like, think about it. Like, it sounds kind of goofy, But like it kind of makes sense, right? Because like we don't want there to be wars. Why would we want there? Like it should never be the case where there is like an official procedure by which the UN is like, okay, well we've drawn out this thing, and now you can use this to declare war on each other. Like you don't want war. That's the whole point of like international bodies and everything, so that there aren't people going to war with each other. Yeah.
Legal, Representative Khanna, the entire occupation of Gaza, the managing their diet, the mowing the lawn, the constant killing of them, the
If Palestinians who were trained by Hamas, including minors, are considered combatants at all times, wouldn't that also apply to almost everyone in Israel? Military service mandatory for all men and women. Legitimate question. You can be in the military but not a party to an armed conflict if there's no existing armed conflict. Also, you can be a militant, a soldier, and there's no active war going on, or you're not participating in war, and not be a valid target. So like whether you have Hamas soldiers or whatever that you've identified, if you're not currently warring with each other, which generally when there's not like an active conflict going on, most people would say there's not an active thing going on, then you would say that it's not there. You can't do these kinds of attacks. They're supposed to be illegal. The problem is almost everything here in this region operates like in a really stupid, I would say gray zone, but it's not, according to international law, it's not really gray zone. It's really just all illegal. Like technically my understanding is like every assassination is illegal. I don't think you're ever allowed to assassinate anybody, but obviously Israel does. But obviously, I mean, the other people in the region try to as well. So, what are you going to do? Memer's going to meme.
Perspective of many Palestinians is that they're being collectively punished and they're fighting for their very existence, and that the bases that surround Gaza were the primary murderers on a military level of the population of Gaza.
I don't even know if that's
what
true,
I'm understanding,
but okay.
whether it's Hamas and Islamic Jihad or it's independent Palestinians, how is it that you can stand here and in any way justify the Israelis dropping bombs on Gaza, but never find a way in which it's justifiable for Palestinians to kill an armed soldier of a force that is under international law an occupation force? I don't understand it.
Well,
I ask you
because
to reconsider this position.
Well, I will look at it, but I don't think that the solution in that area is to encourage.
But you're afraid of being called pro-Hamas.
See, he's not there. Oh, fuck. I need to. Oh, that's my next one. I got to talk to Rokana. It's not what he just said there. Rokana said a solution. These guys aren't looking for a solution. This is a wedge issue that they use to destroy politicians on. The fact that Rokana even said solution means that these guys are out of step with each other. These guys are not looking for solutions.
That's what this boils down to. Because I bet if we were talking off the record privately and I said this to you, you would acknowledge that people around the world have a right to resistance by all means necessary.
That's not true. You don't have a right to resistance by all means necessary? What does that mean? You can rape your invader? What do you? That's such a fucking empty, hollow, stupid fucking statement. No, of course you don't have a right. Nobody in the history of anything has ever fucking declared that ever. And also, my understanding is there has never been an effective resistance that's done that. I'm not aware of any effective resistances that have engaged in whatever means necessary and managed to win. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but like, Jesus.
I've always been for peaceful resistance,
But how is peaceful resistance saying the Israelis
just like it's under segregation? I wouldn't have said that go kill people who are
do Nat Turner now. Do Nat Turner now. Do Nat Turner.
I'm much more Dr. King than Malcolm X.
Are you much more slave rebellions were justified against people that
there it
were
is.
raped?
I blame Finkelstein, Finkelfuck, the absolute fucking retard, for bringing this Nat Turner slave rebellion example. First of all, I don't even know if people actually would defend the Nat Turner. I think it was like, how many white people did they kill? Like, it was like 20 people. I think it was slaves and a few other people revolted, and they just went like home to home, like murdering people. But like anybody, like they just fucking murdered motherfuckers. But like, it wasn't good. Now, that's one of those things where it's like, I get it, and I don't think I'm going to be here like criticizing them. Like, homie's a slave, okay? Damn, what the fuck you want him to do, you know? But, like, I don't think anybody's going to be defending this as, like, effective activism. And then the grossest thing that fuck, I wish I was. No, I'm glad I'm not Jewish. I will bring out the anti-Semitism thing more. Anytime somebody compares anything for the Palestinians to the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, that is an anti-Semitic comparison. Like, that's, like, that's just an insanely fucking retarded... that's just an insanely fucking retarded comparison. I'm sorry. It's so stupid.
hanging, murdering Africans who had been kidnapped. I mean, I'm sorry. I spend most of my day and night talking with Palestinians, working with Palestinians. My colleague Hossam Shabat was assassinated by the Israelis, and you're saying they have no right ever to use force.
Most of the Palestinians I met, and maybe a few days, are not talking about the kind of armed resistance that you are. They just want to live their lives in dignity and peace and not have the Israeli settlers oppress them.
But you're a member of the United States Congress who is justifying, albeit you've been very critical of Israel's war against Gaza, but you seem to be drawing a line that says that there are some cases in which Israel is justified to attack Palestinians, but only those responsible for October 7th. But you can't find a shred of justification for any Palestinian to attack the very armed forces operating under a nation-state flag that is backed by the United States. And you're saying that there is no condition under which a Palestinian has a right to kill soldiers who are posted at military bases, enforcing by murder and forced starvation and deprivation an illegal occupation of Gaza. That's what doesn't make sense to me. I don't see how you reconcile those two positions.
Because I think that the armed resistance is only going to be ineffective given the power differentials. It's similar to what Gandhi thought.
The problem here too is, I'm sorry, man, dude. Ro Khanna just has no idea what he's talking about. I don't know why he's in this conversation. The easy answer here is Palestinians, any person on the planet, absolutely has a right to armed resistance insofar as there are soldiers or people coming in trying to kill them or whatever. You absolutely, undeniably have a right that is protected by the United Nations, that you have a right to that armed resistance. That doesn't include crossing a border and then murdering every fucking person that you can find from the supposed enemy. That's not the same thing, but they're conflating the two because nobody really knows anything about this conversation.
In terms of how he took on the British Empire, and that having a moral force of civil resistance and appealing to the world's conscience is going to be much better chance of getting dignity and peace.
2019, the Palestinians organized the Great March of Return, which was a mass nonviolent mobilization at the gates of the concentration camp walls and fence in Gaza. And you know what Israeli soldiers did, Representative Khanna? They had a competition to who could shoot the most kneecaps of Palestinians.
I think that
were backed by Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas. So there's a track record and there's a context. You're talking about tactical issues. The Palestinians have tried that. The Palestinians did.
I think I think opinion is
down.
I think opinion is shifting now in America, where those kind of approaches would get a better reception in.
Just as a heads up, okay? People always say this Great March of Return was peaceful, but nobody's ever seen it or knows anything at all about it.
Hello guys, this is Ahmed Ghunaim. We're here in the Great March. Amongst the 47 dead, there are rubber bullets.
From the very first day, so all of these things up here, what this is people try to say that the Great March of Return was just a bunch of people were walking up to say, hey, we want freedom and peace. But that's not what it was. They prepared in advance. They had tons of these huge rubber tires. And what they would do is they would roll them forward and set them on fire so that the smoke would come up to cover themselves from the idea of being able to see them. And then they would run up to the gates and they would try to cut it open and then have people run in with mines or rifles or whatever else. I'm sure there were some that ran in without weapons, but this is what this was from day one. Everybody always says, now you can argue whether or not you think it's justified or unjustified or whatever. You can have your opinions about it, but it is such a fucking lie that just relies on the total retarded ignorance of anything that's ever fucking happened here.
It's from burning tires. So the Palestinians, they put burning tires here, and that's to deter the Israeli snipers from shooting people, so they can't see.
أنا أرفض أن أقول إسرائيل. أقول الاحتلال صهيوني، احتلال غاصب، احتلال ظالم. رسالتي ليست فقط للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية بل للعالم أجمع. انظروا ماذا يفعل الاحتلال الغاصب بأطفال فلسطين، بأطفال غزة.
I'm so sorry. It's just so crazy seeing videos, especially in the Middle East, of how fucked conflict gets, where you have, I'm sorry if I sound sociopathic, but you have well-spoken, well-dressed people that have like iPhones, and they've got nice ambulances with doctors and stretchers, and this guy's got a fucking huge camera on his head, and it's just and the way that these people are presented, they're forced to live in the tribes of the fucking, in the deep Sahara where they're starving and dying, and these Israeli soldiers having competition to shoot out their kneecaps. And it's if you're having a Great March of Return and the goal is a giant show to see how many people can peacefully march and say, Israel, like, release us. Why are you burning tires? Why? What's the point of that, right? Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't a fucking giant camera thing. That was a fucking gas mask. Sorry, so they'd be fine.
Cured, you cannot come back.
نريد العالم أجمع أن نتحرك يكفي العالم.
Be even ground. That's how many people will be here on Monday and Tuesday, because there will be a lot of protests for their right to return.
It's just so cringe that these guys will talk about this as like, there are crazier videos of it as well, but there are my notes somewhere.
In the United States.
Jesus. So they don't get sniped? Isn't that what they just said? Why would they get sniped? Destiny, genuine question. So I don't get, going by what you've said, how Scahill is wrong on the narrow point that Palestinians would be within their legal right to attack the IDF. Obviously, there's no legal reason to target civilians until a peace treaty is signed. It seems expected. No, because you're not. I don't think it's considered an ongoing conflict constantly until there's like a formal peace agreement. Did I use all my card? Wait, what the fuck just happened there? What the fuck happened to this Reddit? How did they take over everything on the internet? What, NYT? What is this? Oh, these are all like super commies now, right? Oh, no. This is just an anti-Israel subreddit, the NYT one. Jesus Christ. What do you yourself think it is? What do I think what is? U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Monday vowed to dismantle the International Criminal Court. Why? We're not even signatories to the ICC's what the Rome Statute are. Why the fuck does it even matter? Okay, whatever. The situation, war between nations and occupation. Oh, for the Israel thing? I don't know. The problem is, in a way, it's beyond, it's kind of beyond analysis. It's just a weird state of affairs that has gone on for way too long, and it makes it so hard to, it makes it so hard to understand. Everything is just so broken. It's just so, they need to figure this shit out. What were the demands of the Great March of Return? Did they want infinite right of return? They never have real demands. There's never real demands. Nobody ever puts demands on paper. It was just, they wanted to be able to break down the fence and march back to their homelands in Israel or whatever. Genuine question, but I feel it needs to be asked because I think it is a good to ask question. It is good to ask questions about both sides, and I know you understand both positions. Sometimes you spend a long amount of time talking about one side, so optically it looks like you are just defending one side, and I think you should spend more time in good faith, genuinely asking. Please don't ban me. I'm being genuine. You're banned. You're perma-banned. Why would you type? Yes, sometimes I'll answer the questions that I think are on the other side that are dumb, but or whatever. I shouldn't say because they're dumb, because I do try to give both. I try. I'm trying, okay? He was hedging. Why did you ban him? I didn't ban him, you fucking retard. Damn, dude, I watched Hutch this morning, and sometimes Hutch watches Hasan, so now I'm watching Hasan in like 7 different ways. It's a hard stream to watch, dude. He's like gonna become like one of those talk radio preacher guys. I can just the way that he speaks now. Ugh.
Well, if we look, I appreciate the question, and I will answer it specifically. But if you look at all the things I've called for, I've said zero aid to Israel and supporting the Massey Amendment that does that. That's going to be a big vote coming up this week. I've said no military sales to Israel that are used to kill civilians.
I'll be honest. Here's what I have to say about this. Okay.
He doesn't like him.
Ro Khanna's position is, of course, inconsistent, right? It doesn't make sense. If you identify the problem, if you are knowledgeable about the history, okay. Ro Khanna also happens to be one of the lone voices in Congress, and I do think he's movable. I'm not saying
we should totally go after him, guys.
Was great. I mean, I addressed it as well. I critiqued it myself. Horrible. When I had him on the broadcast. I do think he's movable on this issue, though, so we'll see. We'll see where he goes with it.
I've said no military integration and led the fight to repeal Section 224 and 219.
You're being incredibly naive here, Hasan. No, I think I'm being unbelievably pragmatic and maybe perhaps a little cold and perhaps a little bit calculated, because I think if he's movable on this issue, if he's movable on this issue, we can get others to be far, far, far more aggressive in their posture. Because, look, there are 2 different kinds of politicians in Congress.
Yeah, tell us.
From my perspective, okay? We got the ideologues.
Yeah.
We got the ride or dies.
Okay.
Right? Maylot Quiros, Daria Liza, Claire Valdez, Chris Rabb. These are people I don't have to worry about. These are not people that I will have to hold to account, right? At least they might betray us at some point, but like I know that these are people whose position already comes from a place of knowledge, a place of understanding the situation. Hamawi is another one, right? These are the people that we're not going to have to go after to be like, hey, what are you doing? Ilhan Omar is another one of these people. Rashida Tlaib is another one of these people. These numbers are growing, right? But then you also have people that are movable, okay? There's 3 different kinds of people in Congress, sorry, let's say. Right?
Oh, he's doing the
3 different kinds of
listing.
people.
The listing. No, I'm just kidding. I can't say I own the listing, right?
Ro Khanna's in
I
the
invented
second
counting.
camp, where whether or not this is a sincerely held position of his, or whether or not he's just like literally learning about the history of the region, the history of this country in real time as he's experiencing it, while simultaneously still trying to make a calculated decision to not be called an anti-Semite endlessly, right? And still try to manage these like relationships with like J Street, all this stuff. He's a movable person, which is good. Far better than the 3rd category of person that
Who's that?
Bought and paid for, or ideologically a Zionist.
Ooh,
right?
That's the worst.
So I'll take Ro Khanna over Chuck Schumer. I'll take Ro Khanna over Josh Gottheimer. I'll take Ro Khanna over people who are already there. People who are just like aggressive champions of this cause. Haley Stevens being another one, right? I'll take Ro Khanna over Haley Stevens. Do you see what I mean?
We got you. That's
where my pragmatism comes from. I'll take Ro Khanna over Cory Booker.
Hell yeah. Fuck that guy.
Right? So I'm being super pragmatic. There's a difference between trying to get as many congresspersons to move in our direction and in the direction of the truth, and holding them to account this way is a big part of it. Okay? Private correspondence is another part of it, but holding them to account this way is also a major part of it.
Amen, brother.
Arm's distance, but also a little push and a little pull. Do you see what I'm saying?
There we go. There we go. True.
Because at the end of the day, they're public servants. They serve us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it this way.
Yeah.
If you look back at my correspondence with Ro Khanna very publicly at the DNC in 2024, and then you look at the conversation that we had a couple months ago when he came to my house versus the conversation.
How do people not identify that this discourse is literally meant to play on their emotions and not any sort of factual reality at all? Isn't that super retarded? I don't know. My biggest hopium pill, I think the thing that has given me the most hopium lately is just recognizing that, like, we have had so many dark points in history. We did have literally like a fucking civil war where the entire future of this country really was in question, right? And then you've had like, World War I and especially World War II was pretty dark. The Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, god damn, that's some spooky ass shit. That like maybe the arc of history, it just, you win some, you lose some. Right now we're losing some, and then we'll win some. But then also it's so hard too, because it could really be that I'm just like thinking about when I was a kid. And like everything is just better, I guess, when you're a teenager, and you just think of things like, oh, when I was a teenager, everything in the world was better, and now that I'm older, it's not. I don't know. It's hard to truly say. I want to say I feel like the culture, the world progress, and everything was like better in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So maybe. I mean, I feel like I could kind of make some objective arguments for that, though. Like the fall of the Soviet Union wasn't like this catastrophe that everybody thought it would be. You saw big gains in Africa when it came to things like, and things like AIDS and everything got way better. Yeah, I don't know. So right now we're going through kind of like a retard bend. Oh, all that to say, sorry, because you asked, like, can people not see this? I think when people are in it, I think people can't see it. But like when we get out of it, hopefully people will look back and be like, man, that was some hella retarded shit. Maybe. World War I and II weren't nearly the same as the Civil War or our current climate because the country was super united back then. I don't know if that's true. I would have to go back and check. We really did have to be like kind of kicked, or we like pulled into both of those world wars because other people were starting to fuck with us in ways that we couldn't ignore anymore. I'm not sure how like unified we were when it was like, let's join the war. Fuck. On this run, I just finally understood the big deal about the eye things. I'm seeing it now. Because you can card spam so hard in this game. But the eye things keep you from doing the card spam. What's the path out of the situation? Any legislation that could change anything? It's going to be a culture thing. I hopefully we'll realize it as this next election comes around, I think.
Conversation that we had when he came back from Israel, he's moved quite a bit on this issue, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
See what he's saying, guys?
So that is still that places Ro Khanna in a far better position than the large majority of AIPAC-backed stooges that are saying stuff like Israel comes to me in my dreams.
Ugh.
Right?
They just make me so goddamn mad. I hate AIPAC.
We got to do it all. Full spectrum.
I shouldn't be spending.
To each their own. But if you're wondering what's my analysis on this, what's my assessment on this, that's where I'm coming from.
Fuck.
These sorts of conversations are very good, though. They're very productive.
is Netanyahu's end run, where they would just co-produce the military. I said we should call it apartheid and recognize the genocide. So,
where the fuck are all my orb cards? I think the power of cringing at your parents will be the way out. Someday people will look at Emma Vigilant and think, boomer. This is boomer slop. Maybe. What the biggest issue I have with stuff like GLP-1s and everything is that, like, I don't think we realize how much scientific progress we've kind of like destroyed in this country with the current administration. It's very fucking annoying. We read that one article by the Alexander dude, the Astral Slate Codex guy. For what were they doing? They might have been looking. I don't even know if they were looking for diabetes treatments yet, but they were extracting some hormone from like a fire lizard slug thing or whatever. And like this is where they started down the path to discovering these GLP-1 drugs, the GLP agonists or whatever. And I don't know how much general research like that now we've just like fucking annihilated in the United States. Big hand is good. This guy's going to hit me for 30 no matter what, isn't he? Oh, look who it is.
I got taken to a, what's it called? What is this? A drug mart.
For what?
Who is that? Is that Steven?
Yeah, I'm talking to Steve.
Don't say it.
We're together right now.
What do you want? Go.
Give my husband back.
Well, I called you, but...
he called me.
Well, because I'm bored.
What are you guys doing at a drugstore?
Well, we're getting little travel section size for our DC trip.
Oh, like shampoos and stuff, or?
Yeah, like a mousse for her hair and like a disposable razor for the hotel.
No, we're getting that from concierge.
Okay, well, whatever. I'll be home in like 30 minutes.
Okay. What? You don't have?
Good.
Can't you just bring like your normal stuff? Wait,
No,
you guys staying at a hotel?
Yep.
They'll have shampoo and conditioner in the hotel, right?
Well, that's why we're not grabbing shampoo and conditioner.
And then for like a razor, can't you just bring your normal razor?
No, every time I try to bring my normal razor, they take it. It's because I have like a safety razor, the one blade one.
Oh my god, you're so pretentious. Okay.
Those are the good ones. All right, I'll be back. Bye.
Be careful.
Bullshit. First of all, you think China is going to be like, okay, we'll take over the role.
Hold on.
Bullshit. First of all, you think China is going to be like, okay, we'll take over the role. There is 0% chance that they would do that. The only reason why they're not doing anything or saying anything is because of American support. Once American support goes away, Israel becomes a real country, a normal country, one that has to abide by international rules and international standards. Okay?
Like the rest of the countries in that region? Okay. Chief.
It's that simple. The main Israeli-Palestinian lightning rod in U.S. politics used to be aid. Israel was the largest foreign recipient of American taxpayer money since World War II. $380 billion plus, by the way, in the 80 years of its existence, of its violent existence.
Violent.
The debate is more or less over as the Israeli government itself is asking to end direct U.S. subsidies. The pro-Palestinian movement has moved towards demanding a full arms embargo, stopping the U.S. government from sending weapons, whether they are paid for by the American or Israeli taxpayers. Indeed, polling shows that most Americans oppose sending weapons in general to Israel. A new policy pro-Palestinian lobby group founded by two officials who resigned from the Biden administration argues that the U.S. should use arms sales as leverage to change Israeli policy. The Institute for Middle East Understanding Policy Project, another pro-Palestinian lobby group, claims that any weapon sales to Israel would violate U.S. arms control law, which forbids arming militaries involved in large-scale torture or wars of aggression, which Israel is involved in. These critics are right that the U.S. government has a lot of leverage in this regard. The international arms trade is not really a free market. U.S. weapons sales are either done by the Pentagon itself or are carried out under direct control of the State Department. They often come with long-term U.S. commitments. Saudi Arabia, the largest customer for American weapons, gets U.S. training and support, including American maintenance technicians on the ground with its purchases. To replace direct U.S. aid, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing to fully integrate the U.S. and Israeli supply chains, and a bill to that effect is about to pass Congress despite attempts by Kana and Representative Thomas Massey to stop it. Some Democratic proponents of the continued U.S. arms sales to Israel, such as slow boring editor Matt Iglesias, yuck, argue that cutting those sales would hurt American manufacturing jobs. That's not an entirely honest argument. There isn't.
You also have, like, it is kind of weird that we give a lot of aid to Israel, but also, like, a lot of it comes back to us in the terms of, like, them buying weapons from us too, right? Now, in a way, I guess we're kind of subsidizing ourselves, but it's not necessarily like we're just giving them $3 billion to, you know, buy shovels to dig graves for Palestinian citizens.
In fact, an excess of demand for American weapons around the world. In many ways, Israel has been allowed to push ahead of the line. The U.S. government guarantees that the Israeli military can receive preferential access to American ammunition. The war reserves stockpile allies Israel. Okay? The U.S. is dispensing munitions to Ukraine and Israel faster than they can be replaced. Baba ya hiç konuşma şu anda baba. Yani bir şey yapıyorum. Sonra konuşuruz.
Oh my
Sonra
god.
konuşuruz.
He's so ethnic.
Biliyorum.
That's awesome.
Biliyorum. Biliyorum. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, the Pentagon, where was I? Is your dad naked? Yes.
Based.
Okay, Kaya is escaping.
Why is she trying to escape so much? She hates.
Where were we? They often come through long-term U.S. commitments, full integration. Boring editor Matt Iglesias argue cutting those sales would hurt American manufacturing jobs is not an entirely honest argument. And better weapons than his neighbors, the qualitative military edge mandate, while other countries are stuck in a backlog. If Israel doesn't buy those weapons, someone else will. There's more to the argument that U.S. leverage is overrated, comparing Saudi Arabia to other case former Pentagon officials Elizabeth Dent and Grant Rumley wrote in 2024 that cutting off arms sales has proven to be a fickle tool of coercion. Although Israel could not wage its foreign wars without various types of U.S. support, the Israeli-Palestinian issue is a much older and low-tech form of ethnic conflict. The people who stopped Khan's car, after all, were a ragtag militia. Still, perhaps an argument for getting the U.S. out of the mix, if only to wash American hands. Not true.
Not true.
Okay? Not true at all.
Not true.
It's the first and necessary step in this process. It's not the end-all, be-all of the bargain. Obviously, embargo is the first righteous, just method of holding Israel accountable.
Embargo.
In the interim.
Embargo?
Sanctions, on the other hand, are far more comprehensive and far more brutal. We need to get there too. The very fact that we're having this conversation, by the way, I need to take a step.
Remember also for these guys, when they say sanctions, okay, they mean something a little bit stronger than you realize, because for a lot of these guys, sanctions to them is the equivalent of war crimes, because these guys will point to places like Iraq. They did a lot in the past. I don't think they do. They haven't as much for Iran. They kind of did sometimes for Iran. But when they talk about sanctions, they consider sanctions to basically be like war crimes, because they'll call it collective punishment against the civilian population. And therefore, when we the way that they say we killed 500,000 children in Iraq or 500,000 civilians in Iraq is through sanctions or whatever else. And they blame the United States for every single one of those deaths, however many even happened. I'm not even sure how they got those numbers. Nobody's really sure how they got those numbers. But So when they're talking about like sanctioning Israel, okay, they need business. They don't just mean like we need to make them act a little bit better. They mean like we want to fucking go as hard as we can and go to war with these motherfuckers. Is essentially what they're talking about.
Back here, I need to take a step back here, take a deep breath, and remind you that the very fact that we are having this current conversation
is a good thing.
Is a sign
of progress.
That things have changed dramatically.
Good job, guys. We're beating
a lot
Israel.
of people will choose to obfuscate the real issue at hand, and the very fact that they are choosing to obfuscate the issue at hand implies that there is so much clarity, at least amongst the masses, on this issue. People understand right from wrong. They want to punish Israel. They want to hold Israel accountable.
Hell yeah.
Okay? That's huge.
That's huge.
These are conversations that I never thought we'd be having in the United States of America 10 years ago. Are you fucking kidding me? 3 years ago, these conversations would not be having. We would not be having these conversations.
Wow, brave, so brave.
Economic sanctions are a different creature altogether. Some sanctions involve seizing the assets of specific foreign officials. Other sanctions are comprehensive bureaucratic attacks on a country's economy. Over the past few decades, the U.S. Treasury has developed increasingly sophisticated ways to impede other nations' ability to trade. There's active, extensive effort to stop oil from flowing into Russia, natural gas from flowing into North Korea, dollars from passing through Iran, or tourists from visiting Cuba. Ooh. For all the efficiency of the sanctions enforcement, the theory behind comprehensive sanctions is quite crude. Throw a country into economic chaos and its government will be forced to give in to your demands, or better yet, it will be overthrown. In other words, the plan is to use ordinary people's suffering as leverage. It's dubious whether that suffering even works. Instead of achieving U.S. goals without war, sanctions campaigns have often been the prelude to war. The Trump administration escalated sanctions on Venezuela to a blockade and then a direct regime change operation. Then it did the same in Iran, much less successfully. Okay. Emmanuel and Khanna's proposal for settlement sanctions is supposed to be a smarter, more precise form of economic pressure. The two Democrats have named a specific target set, officials, construction companies, and banks, and a specific behavior dealing with the settlers in the West Bank that the targets can cease in order to escape punishment.
What do you think about the Shapiro guy saying he doesn't identify as Jewish anymore? Like, that's not a privilege other than he can afford, usually just to blend in or whatever. I don't know. It's a whole thing. That guy is super radical beliefs. I'm a little bit... Maybe we should have gone into the more... applied section of that conversation earlier, because yeah, damn, fuck, I don't think I should have gotten rid of my one duplicator thing. I don't know, never mind, whatever. Okay. Whew. Can you kill death with this character? He went some mask off towards the end. Why do you think he held his mask on for so long? Well, because we didn't really ask any probing. I didn't ask any probing questions until the end.
In theory, the plan is well tailored to its goals, especially since the settlement movement relies much on American money. The issue with the settlements is a property dispute at heart, but the campaign could easily escalate into sanctions on the entire Israeli financial sector because of how many banks deal with settlement real estate. Emmanuel at least admitted that risk existed.
Wait, there's no
perhaps
way.
A way to rattle his right-wing interviewer. Khanna, on the other hand, portrayed economic sanctions as a less extreme measure than an arms embargo. He either did not fully understand the implications of his proposal or wasn't completely honest about them, neither of which is a good sign for how it would be implemented. Democratic critics are right that the U.S. involvement, especially military aid and arms dealing, has enabled violence and tyranny across the Middle East, even if ending that meddling isn't sufficient to solve all the region's problems. Is a necessary step towards lowering the temperature.
Have you seen his debate with Coleman Hughes? No, I haven't. This doesn't even do anything. I'm gonna reset. Wait, did I lose my thing? I don't have another card draw. Oh. He was flustered. He added a cope segment at the beginning and the end of the debate. Oh, wait, a cope section? I shouldn't spam these cards, right? It's not worth it. I have 2 revives. Okay. Hold on. We got 0. 1. Do I get a new hand when I die and revive? Is that what's happening? Oh, I think it is what's happening. Maybe? Fuck, whatever. Yeah, I don't think I can kill this guy out. Did Arafat lie about what? Your mom? Okay.
I can.
Hour long, part 1 of 2. Do you know that Rokana pulled a Hasan with his West Bank story? He wasn't detained, just restricted from going in a restricted area, which he was eventually allowed to go into after the police arrived. I don't know. I haven't read the full articles or anything else that's come out on it yet. Okay. I'm going to do 1 row of stuff between deaths. All right, hold on. I'm working here. Wait, how does this work? Oh, yeah? Wait. No? Hold on. There? That Shapiro guy had the propagandistic proficiency of a government agency. It felt like everything he said was layered with lies that would take minutes uninterrupted to break apart fully. Do you think you should have cut him off more? Nah, I mean, it's kind of like the strategy of like, that was our first chat, so it's going to be more cordial. I can't imagine how much of a fucking nightmare this is.
Beautiful. Is it great? It's a great place. Well, thank you very much. We've had already a good meeting. We're going to decide to do a little lunch. It wasn't scheduled, but we are going to do it on the fly because we have a tremendous chemistry together. The Prime Minister of Iraq has been amazing. He won an election that a lot of people didn't anticipate could be won by anybody else other than another person who was not, in my opinion, a good person. Not good for America. I don't think good for Iraq. And I played a role in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very important to me to have somebody get in there that can do the job and do it well.
Yeah, he
And we
chose
have
the winner,
fantastic
basically.
Champion, a new champion, and he won the election very soundly, very conclusively, and he wasn't favored. But by the time they got to know him, he ended up winning, and he's going to be there for a long time. So I just want to say it's a great honor to have the Prime Minister of Iraq with us. He's been a great fighter, and he's been a great fan of America. We'll be discussing that a little bit with you. But they have tremendous oil reserves. They have tremendous potential wealth, and they have tremendous wealth, not only potential. But he's done in a short period of time, he's changed that country so much, especially toward their thinking about the United States. And we have partnerships. Chris was just saying we have tremendous oil partnerships all of a sudden being formed over the last short period of time. And I guess you're going to be announcing them this week or next week, but massive, among the largest. So they have done a fantastic job over the last very short period of time. But they have a great leader, the new Prime Minister. He's a great.
Wait, real quick. So I'm guessing you want to decrease the rarity of ones you want to get, and you want to increase the rarity of ones that you do get, and then seal makes it so they don't show up ever again, basically, I guess?
Great leader. I think he's going to be there for a long period of time. And it's great to have you at the White House. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And he's a young man. He's young and he's handsome.
Okay, you guys are fucking retarded in chat. People are saying that Trump has thick thighs. This is because this motherfucker squats 6 plates, okay? The reason why his stomach is also, it looks larger than it is because he's got a huge powerlifting belt he always has on because he likes to bang out some squats in between meeting with foreign leaders and drawing maps from memory.
Which I don't like. I'm not happy about it.
شكرا جزيلا. لقد عقدنا اجتماعا جيدا وقد دعوت الى وجبه الغداء وهذا لم يكن ضمن البرنامج والجدول الذي اتفقنا عليه، لكن هنالك كيمياء عظيمه بيننا وبينهم. رئيس الوزراء يقوم بعمل رائع. انا لم يتوقع احد انه سيفوز في هذه الانتخابات، لكن المرشح المضاد له كان شخص لم يعجبني ولم تكن لديه اراء جيده تجاه امريكا، لكن كان من المهم جدا لي ان تفوزوا انتم في هذه الانتخابات وانتم تقومون بعمل رائع جدا. والان لدينا فائز جديد لم تكن حظوظه كبيره لكنه مع ذلك نجح في هذه الانتخابات. هو شرف عظيم بالنسبه لي ان استضيف دوله رئيس الوزراء هنا في البيت الابيض. هو محارب عظيم وهو ايضا من المعجبين بامريكا والولايات المتحده. العراق طبعا دوله غنيه لديها كثير من الاحتياطات النفطيه وهي دوله مليئه بالثروات، وفي وقت قصير تمكنتم من القيام بالكثير وتغيير على الاقل تغيير شعور العراقيين تجاه امريكا. وكما قال كريس وزير النفط واشار الى ذلك ان هنالك صفقات تجاريه كبيره في مجال النفط سوف يتم الاعلان عنها هذا الاسبوع. انتم تقومون بعمل رائع وقمتم بعمل رائع خلال وقت قصير. رئيس الوزراء طبعا هو ايضا قائد عظيم واعتقد انكم ستخدمون في هذا المنصب لمده طويله. طبعا انتم في مقتبل العمر انتم شاب ايضا ووسيم وهذا طبعا لا يعجبني، لكن مع ذلك شرفني ان استضيفكم هنا.
أشكر حفاوة الاستقبال إلى فخامة الرئيس دونالد ترامب.
Thank you for the warm welcome by His Excellency President Trump.
وهذه هي زيارتي الأولى
This is my first visit
إلى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
United States of America.
فهذه الزيارة لم تكن زيارة عابرة.
This visit was not just like a visit.
وإنما زيارة إعلان شراكة اقتصادية.
Rather, it's an announcement of economic partnership.
تحدثت مع فخامة الرئيس.
Where I talked to His Excellency.
30/9 سوف تخرج القوات الأمريكية.
On the 30th of September, the U.S. forces will be out of Iraq.
وسوف تدخل الشركات الأمريكية.
While U.S. companies will be inside Iraq.
ودائما تخلق العلاقة المجتمعية هي الشراكة الاقتصادية وليس العسكرية.
While the social relations is about like economy, it's not like about like military relations.
أنقل تحياتي.
I would convey my greetings.
من أقدم حضارة في العالم.
The oldest civilization in the world.
إلى أكبر قلب اقتصادي في العالم
والتكنولوجيا. Economic and technology heart in the world.
وأكرر شكري إلى فخامة الرئيس على حفاوة الاستقبال.
My thanks to His Excellency the President for the warm welcome.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there we go.
Please. Go ahead.
Oh. Okay, okay. Good point, good point.
Who are you with? Okay.
Sir, is the military act of Iran, is it a strategy to bring it back to the table? Was it to degrade them so the regime will eventually fall?
Well, we don't think we need the military there anymore. It's a very big operation. And what we do have is the oil companies are all going in now and they're doing partnerships with Iraq and they're getting along very well. The relationship is a whole big relationship where we don't need the military. We're there to help them. We're there to protect them if need be. But we don't think that's going to be necessary. And their primary, I consider an opponent, they might have considered a friend, but I consider that an opponent was Iran, was a big burden on Iraq because they were the bully of the Middle East, as you know. And we were just talking about that. But they're not going to have that problem anymore because Iran has been very much destabilized and really their military power is just a tiny fraction of what it was just 4 months ago. So they're not going to have that problem. I think that it's really, in a sense, it's given them freedom to do what they have to do. And I think that's one of the reasons that our oil companies are going in there at levels that have never been seen before. So.
Okay.
You want to answer?
شكرا جزيلا على سؤالك.
Thank you for your question.
ابتداء في منهاج الحكومي.
According to the program of the government.
هو حصر السلاح بيد الدولة.
Is to restrict the possession of weapons to the state.
وهذه نقطة أساسية.
And this is a basic point.
ولدي قرار بها غير قابل للخيار.
And this is like a decision. It's not an option.
تم استلام.
We received
أسلحة كثيرة من قبل بعض الفصائل.
weapons by different factions.
واللي يسلم سلاحه.
And whoever surrender his weapon.
ويتحول إلى جهة سياسية ومدنية.
Turned into like a political or civilian.
من ناحيتنا سيتم التعاون معه.
We will cooperate with them.
بعد 30/9.
After the 30th of September.
لا حاجة لوجود أي فصائل.
There's no any need for the presence of any faction.
لكون الفصائل.
Because factions.
هي حاجة وليس مهنة.
Is a need. It's not a profession.
وماكو مبرر لبقائهم بعد 30/9.
No any justification for their existence after the 30th of September.
إن شاء الله نهاية هذا العام أو بداية العام القادم.
By the end of this year or by the beginning of the next year.
سوف نعلن أكبر مؤتمر السيادة الوطني.
The sovereignty conference is the biggest conference in the region.
قرار العراق بيد العراقيين.
The Iraqi decision is by the hand of the Iraqis only.
وقواتنا الأمنية قادرة على حماية أراضيهم.
And our security forces are capable of protecting their borders.
بعد 30/9.
After the 30th of September.
I don't know anything about what's going on in Iraq or anything right now, so I don't really know the significance of anything he's talking about, unfortunately. Somebody in chat said that this guy was the prime minister that nobody knew about him until after he won the election and he wasn't even on the ballot. I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody in chat said it, so there you go. Now I've said it. But
لا نسمح لأي جهة تحمل سلاح خارج بطاقة الدولة.
Never accept for any entity to carry weapons outside the control of a state.
Thank you, President Trump. I have two questions. I was wondering if you could explain your changing thinking on the Strait of Hormuz, applying the 20% fee. How did you get to the decision you just announced?
So when I put that out yesterday, we've been doing that for many, many years. It was never.
Oh shit! The person in chat was his opponent in the election. Oh well, there you go. So that guy must know. Someone said, for context, the PM of Iraq is trying to reduce the influence of Iran in the country and disarm militias. Okay.
To me, that we would be guarding the strait when we basically don't take anything. We don't need the oil at all. And it wasn't important for us, but it was important for allies. It was important for people that we get along with very well, including the major Gulf state countries. So I put it out yesterday. I thought it was good. I was called by different people, different countries, kings and emirs, and all of the people that we all know and we all love. And they've been very strong.
Wow,
partners.
all of the people.
And they said we'd love to do it a different way. We'd love to invest in the United States with billions and billions of dollars.
That's amazing,
and
Trump.
Continue our record-setting, because there's never been a time like this with the United States, with the factories, with the plants, with everything else. And we would like to invest tremendously in the United States, as opposed to charging a fee. And I like that, actually, because I don't think anybody should be able to charge a fee for the strait or for any other straight relationship in terms of other sections of the world. I don't think anybody should be really in that position. But we were doing it as a reimbursement. The Gulf states are going to invest a tremendous amount of money into the United States, and that was very satisfactory to me. I think it's actually much better.
If I could also ask, are you aware of why the FBI is looking into Senator Graham's death? Have you gotten any updates on why they were at his home?
Well, I don't know why, because I think he had a problem. His father had a very similar problem, as you know. It's very unique. At first, I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was. I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you can solve that.
Is it? I guess we've seen so many of these now, and I guess it does seem to be pretty normal. Why is it not considered rude to ask questions about domestic politics when you have when you've got like a foreign leader there? Like, I noticed that, like, we'll ask questions about, like, what's the FBI doing, or local investigations or whatever, and it's like, I don't know, it seems kind of weird. But I guess we just do that. Do you still have your window light penetration heat issue? Do you have foil reflecting light outside? No, not yet. I'm just waiting for it to get to the winter and then to move. At Destiny, I know you don't speak Arabic, but the difference between the two translators is wild. The man is way better than the Trump woman translator. Yeah, it's, I'll talk more about this. Ask me in like a month or two, okay? I asked this question a long time ago. Oh, God, fuck. Hold on. Let me collect my thoughts. I have a very unique journey in life, okay? No one has ever done this before, but you do this thing where you think you know more than you actually do, and then you learn more, and then you do this. Now I know. Very, 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 very rare, okay? I would say that once I started politics and I was like 2 years in, like I generally have a decent idea of like what I know and what I don't know. So I kind of thought that I was like, I thought I was here. They don't talk enough about this for us 180 IQ individuals, okay? So I figured I was like here. I was like, okay, I have a good understanding of like what I don't know. So like, I hope I'm not here, but like, I think hopefully I'm like learning stuff. I feel like the Vyvanse arc though, put me like, maybe like around here or maybe here, like understanding this way, to where it wasn't just enough to read. Cause before, to be ahead of anything, well, like to be ahead of almost most people in this industry, you just need like a high school level understanding of almost anything. Like if you have a good high school education, you'll know more than like baseline 90% of people in the space. So for instance, when Trump says things like, oh, like I don't need the oil, the US doesn't need the oil, it shows a basic lack of understanding of arbitrage in international markets. It really doesn't matter if you need their oil or not. Them not having oil being put out onto the market means that more buyers are trying to buy the oil that you're putting on the market. And since you have international markets, it's going to cause the cost of your oil to increase, right? This is like high school level econ knowledge, okay? Very easy stuff. And then as I started to learn more, I'm like, okay, well, if I read news articles and stuff, now I'm like way more informed than most people and can debate some quasi-academic-y, whatever, loser people. But it depends on how deep in they are. And then I started reading now post Vyvanse, I think. Right now it's like, okay, well, we'll read the full study. We'll read the full book on this. We'll read the entire Supreme Court case and see what they're referencing. There's another level of knowledge or information, and that next level sometimes is, well, it's not another level, but like knowing the language is actually so important. One thing I asked this question before that was kind of funny, of like, how do people deal with translating Donald Trump? Because to really convey how stupid Trump is, a fair translator, I think, would actually take away quite a bit from listening to Donald Trump speak. Because if you translate Donald Trump directly, he's going to come off as way more eloquent and way more articulate than he actually is. But like, how do you actually deal with that in translation? It's a huge issue, you know? And if you don't speak fluent English, I don't know if you'll understand without a really good, responsible translator how fucking retarded this guy is, okay? Now, spoiler alert. Did you hear what I just said, Mooten?
Yeah.
If you had to guess of one other person that suffered this ill, where the translation doesn't do it justice, who would you guess? Who would you guess that might apply to? Maybe.
That a translator wouldn't do justice.
Hitler. There is a lot of, or there was a lot of kind of like contention over how to translate Mein Kampf, because Hitler was a really good orator. He was a really bad, rambly writer. And there was a guy called Abraham Foxman, I believe. No. He wrote the intro. Ralph Mannheim? I thought it was Foxman, actually. It's one of the two guys who took the time to translate Mein Kampf. And one of the things that he clarifies, because he writes an intro to this, and he talks about translating Mein Kampf is challenging because a lot of people, when they translate it, will take kind of like all of what's being said and then they'll translate it into kind of like an understandable English sentence in a way that conveys ideas. But the issue is that when Hitler writes, Hitler rambles a lot. There's a lot of like run-on sentences. There's like, it doesn't really like, it's not as eloquent or as well written as a lot of people sometimes seem to believe coming away from reading different translations. And there's like a special challenge in trying to translate something where you're conveying like the idea that the person meant while also maintaining kind of like the structure of like how they speak. Some things don't carry over one-to-one from German to English, but to translate it in a way that makes it more readable, in a way does a disservice to the original writing by making it look better than it actually was. Yeah, there's just like there's like a whole world of shit out there to know. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of information on the planet. But yeah, I just think it's funny. It's interesting because somebody in chat just pointed out something along the lines of What did somebody say? Was it? They said that the translator was making Trump sound smarter than he actually was, or whatever, because you speak Arabic or whatever. Somebody in chat. I think mentioned
the
that,
lady. Were you watching his like interview with the Iraqi PM?
Yeah, I think somebody in chat had mentioned that. So yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because he has his own translator, and I was figuring that the reason that he's doing that is because he wants his own translator, not to like. You want your own translator because you don't want your words to be fucking misconstrued.
Sure.
Or you don't want to hear like the wrong thing from the other guy.
Yeah.
In that he says that we're removing Iraqi forces?
Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry.
Was that-
Wait, real quick. It was a YouTuber. I know you don't speak Arabic, but the difference between the two translators is wild. The man is way better than the Trump woman translator. Okay, gotcha. Sorry. Okay, and then what did you say?
It sounded like in that meeting that Trump is going to remove all U.S. forces from Iraq?
I guess. Yeah, it sounds like that's what he's kind of getting at. Yeah, or what we're saying, I guess.
Or starting to move out of the Middle East, I guess.
Yeah, I really don't. I have no idea ever. I don't really know what he's ever doing or what the plan is or what the goal is or what. I just have no idea.
There's no plan. That's the issue.
Or if that's even happening. Maybe we're not even doing that. It's hard to say, yeah.
Tomorrow he'll be actually, we're taking it over.
Maybe.
What happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing. And supposedly, and I've watched all the medical reports, I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is almost undetectable. And if it happens, there's not much you can do about it. It sounds unfortunate, but there's not much you can do about it. If you look at his father died of the same thing at about the same age. So there was not much. They say it's almost undetectable. You can detect it by if you have a very bad back. That's a sign. It's a bad sign. So if anybody has a bad back,
you're going to die.
It's a pretty rough thing to think about. But the fact that's one of the primary signs. And he would tell me he had a bad back. But little did anyone realize it was for that. So, and when that bursts, which it did, it burst. There's not much. So I don't see a lot of evil there. I know there's.
Okay, I don't even remember what this question was about. Who was he talking about?
You can do about it. Detectable. Any blockage.
Lindsey Graham.
With that.
Lindsey Graham had a bad back?
Yep.
I thought the thing was is it arterial sclerosis, whatever. I thought that was just like a hardening of the arteries. So like like a kind of chronic heart issue.
He's saying that a doctor told him that when you have that, an indicator for it is that if you have a bad back. That's just what he's saying. I don't know.
Lindsey Graham. Hey, Barn Dog, instead of typing dumb memes in chat with the medical flair, maybe you should be educating us.
Get snark.
Whoa. Graham died of an aortic dissection. Oh, aortic dissection, dissection, due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Arteriosclerosis, which is used interchangeably with atherosclerosis, obviously, is a broad term for the thickening, hardening, and loss of elasticity in arterial walls. Okay. So this is like a chronic heart problem that I think happens when you have isn't this like plaque building up and shit? Like if you eat poorly and all that, this is like a thing that happens. And then aortic dissection, I'm guessing, is like it broke somehow across a certain thing. And aortic dissection is a life-threatening medical emergency that occurs when the inner layer of the aorta, which is the body's largest artery, tears. High pressure blood surges through the tear, forcing the layers of the artery wall open. Okay. And then this manifests in back pain sometimes?
That's what he said his doctor said.
Cardiovascular disease, back pain. Atherosclerosis, and disc degeneration. Okay, so is it athero or atherosclerosis can obstruct branching arteries of the abdominal aorta, including 4 paired lumbar arteries and the middle sacral artery that feed the lumbar spine. The diminished blood flow could result in various back problems. Okay, so if you have this thing, your arteries are kind of fucked, and then blood doesn't flow as well to the back, and then your discs start to degenerate, and then that can result in back pain. Okay. All right, checks out.
It's very unique. At first I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was, I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you can solve that problem. But what happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing. And supposedly, and I've watched all the medical reports, I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is almost undetectable. And if it happens,
I don't think most people understand that dying from old age isn't literally dying from age, as if your clock runs out, that you die of something. You always die of something, but it isn't always worth diagnosing or treating after a certain point. Yeah, I will say that we have, we don't always do a good job at distinguishing between like what's like a normal sign of aging versus what's not. So I know for a long time I kind of thought like dementia or like Alzheimer's disease is kind of like, oh, you get older, you kind of lose your mind, this is what happens, but that's not a normal part of aging. Same thing with like same thing with balding too. That like, oh, I guess as you get older, you kind of like bald, but balding is not like a normal progression of like hair patterns or whatever. That yeah, we don't always distinguish these very well, I think, at least for younger people. But
there's not much you can do about it. It sounds unfortunate, but there's not all the medical reports. I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is almost undetectable. And if it happens, there's not much you can do about it. It sounds unfortunate, but there's not much you can do about it. If you look at his father.
I feel like for, I'm about to say some shit. I heard this a long time ago. I don't know if it's true or not. For like atherosclerosis, once you start to have that hardening, I don't know if you can ever undo it. I think it just, so like anytime you're like having that issue, I think it is almost impossible to make it.
You're kind of cooked?
Yeah. Or you just like, it's like permanent debuffs basically. You can do like, are they called stints? Where you can like put in like a balloon and blow it up or put in like artificial valves or something. But yeah, I don't know that yeah, kind of fucked.
Died of the same thing at about the same age. So there was not much. They say it's almost undetectable. You can detect it by if you have a very bad back. That's a sign. It's a bad sign. So if anybody has a bad back, it's a pretty rough thing to think about.
I don't know what he's saying for undetectable. I feel like you would just see like high blood pressure. My guess is this probably always leads to high blood pressure, right? I don't know if you would image or whatever to find it.
But the fact that's one of the primary signs, and he would tell me he had a bad back, but little did anyone realize it was for that. So, and when that bursts, which it did, it burst.
My guess is that you have the atherosclerosis, or that you have these issues, but you're not going to know exactly when like a thing bursts or whatever. And then when that happens, I guess you die if you're not like at a hospital.
not much. So I don't see a lot of evil there. I know there's all sorts of conspiracy theories going along, and I don't think the FBI. I think the FBI is wasting their time if they're doing that. Yeah.
Sir, on the prior question, the Hormuz Strait whole idea for you, that's dead now. That's completely gone.
No, I just told you. You have Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait, primarily, and then others. I spoke to all of them, and they would love to invest more money in the United States at record amounts, and that would be very acceptable. And this way, there's no fee. I don't like the concept of a fee, but at the same time, it's not fair that we're protecting this strait for the entire world, for China and everyone. I don't mind protecting it for China. I don't mind protecting it for anybody, but it's unfair that we're not in somehow compensated. And we've been doing this for many years. It's bothered me. 25 years ago, it bothered me. During my first term, I was doing things like you have to invest in the United States, but by doing it that way, there's no fee. They're investing, and they're getting a return on their money, and it's good. But they're going to be making massive investments into the United States, and I like that much better.
Can I ask you a bit about the meeting yesterday, whether you discussed OPEC? There's been some reporting that Iraq is pushing for changes to OPEC, a larger share, and even that they might consider leaving OPEC.
There's a gentleman right here, because here he is. Would you like to know about it?
Are you considering, Mr. Prime Minister, leaving OPEC, or are you pushing for changes? And Mr. President, would you support
Well, I support him. I supported him very early, I endorsed him. Something I rarely do, but I've had great successes endorsing. We just had Colombia,
He's done this like
which
6
was a big
times
one.
now.
Argentina was a big one. We had many.
Wait, what's not true?
That he rarely endorses foreign leaders. He's done it. I can think of 3 now, 4 maybe. Iraqi guy,
TDS.
Orban.
TDS.
Yeah.
You're TDS right now. He just said that he's never done it. Are you calling our president?
Right.
Your
No,
president, by the
you're
way.
right.
You calling him a liar?
That's my president. Yeah,
Thank you.
He's my president.
Thank you. What do you mean by balding not being a natural thing with aging? If it's not sudden, I've never heard it was abnormal. Balding is always like a process that isn't normal. Like you can have, they call it, I think, like a maturing hairline. But in terms of like the receding or those balding patterns, are not necessarily. They're not supposed to be an ordinary part of aging.
I've endorsed. I think everybody I've endorsed from a foreign standpoint, they just win. And I've been hearing great things. I'm a student of a lot of history, and I do know a lot about the history of Iraq. And I watched what was happening in Iraq with the elections. And I put a very strong endorsement out because I was very unhappy with the man that was supposed to win the election. And this great gentleman, I think he's going to end up being a great leader. He won. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
As far as OPEC, that's his decision, and you might ask him that question.
لا اوبك احنا احد البلدان المؤسسه لها.
We are one of the countries that established OPEC.
لكن نريد حقنا وحصه منصفه للعراق.
We need like a fair share for Iraq.
العراق حارب داعش.
Iraq fought ISIS.
والارهاب باجمعه.
And terrorism at all.
وبدعم الولايات المتحده الامريكيه.
Support of the United States of America.
وهذه الحرب مع داعش.
This fight with ISIS.
كلفتنا نفقات كبيره.
Cost us like huge amounts of money.
ودمرت البنيه التحتيه العراقيه.
Destroyed the Iraqi infrastructure.
مقدار الضرر اللي اصاب العراق.
Damage that really was against Iraq.
اكثر من 400 مليار دولار.
Is more than $400 billion.
لليوم بعض العراقيين مدن مدمره.
Until today, like some Iraqi cities are totally destroyed.
ويسكنون في مخيمات.
They're like living camps.
والان لدي خطه اعيدهم الى دورهم.
I have a plan to get them back to their homes.
نريد حصه منصفه للعراق.
We need a fair share.
لا اكثر من ذلك.
We need a fair share.
I'd like to answer because if you remember, even though I was a civilian and had no thought of running for president, I get a disproportionate amount of publicity, as you probably heard. And I used to say, don't go into Iraq. Don't attack
all the
Iraq.
time. He was so
Frankly,
smart
they attacked
about
the wrong country. And they did a lot of damage.
Thank you.
What?
He predicted 9/11.
Yeah.
He was talking about that Saddam.
Do you have any regrets about lifting the naval blockade or giving the sanctions waivers?
No, I gave them a chance. I wanted to give them a chance at making a deal. We had a deal 2 days ago. It was done. And then all of a sudden, they couldn't do it. They didn't like something about the deal. They couldn't do it. And they shot first, and that was a big mistake. That
Iran
they shot
pisses
first,
me off so
I've
much.
been knocking the hell out of them. They're very difficult people. 47 years we put up with it. The SS
47
Cole,
years.
You go back all the way. Thousands of people, thousands of Americans were killed. A lot of soldiers were killed. A lot of soldiers are walking around or not walking around. I mean, they've been so badly injured. The arms, the legs, the face, with the Soleimani, with the bomb.
Goddamn
They call it the roadside
Soleimani.
bomb. Most people call it the roadside bomb. It's a disaster. And
I hate
killed
that
him
guy.
in my first administration. Had I not, it might be a different story today. He was a mad genius. He was probably a madman, but he was a general, and he had total control over the country. And I actually think the leaders of Iran were afraid of Soleimani. But I killed him. And by the way, with him went a very bad person also. They happened to be meeting each other at the airport. And a very bad person from Iraq happened to be a leader of Iraq, happened to be killed in that same incident. So I don't know if I did you a favor or not. I've never asked you that question. You probably would know better than me. But no, I think that what we've done to Iran is we've taken away almost all of their military capability. Go ahead, you explain it. Explain it. Hold on. He has to hear that.
See, he wanted an answer on that bad.
يعني وانه كيف تم قتله على يده في الولايه الاولى له في عندما كان رئيسا للولايات المتحده. فالفكره هو طبعا كان شخص ذكي جدا وعبقري لكنه كان شرير نهايه المطاف. في حادث استهداف وقتل عراقي كان في صحبته، كانوا يلتقوا في مطار في العراق في بغداد. فهو بيسال هل هو كان عملكم خدمه ام لا؟ ما هي النظره بالنسبه لمقتله سليمان؟
أنا في ذاك الوقت لا أمارس السياسة.
At that time, I was not in politics.
وإذا كنت جيت نتحدث عن المستقبل شو راح
In
نسوي؟
my visit, I'd like to talk about the future.
مش عن الماضي القريب.
Now, like we are fed up with the past.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Kurdi, sir. Mr. President, thank you for your time. Last year in May, the Prime Minister of Kurdistan region, Masroor Barzani, signed about $110 billion in energy deals with U.S. companies here in Washington, D.C. Mr. President, if Baghdad and Erbil work together better, that investment could grow. What is your message to the leaders in Baghdad and Erbil to work together? Why I'm asking this question? Because you are our miracle makers, Mr. President.
I love this question. It's my favorite question so far, by far. Thank you very much for the question. Look, Baghdad, I think, and I and this country, we're going to make some tremendous music together. We haven't been dealing very much over the last 4 or 5 years with the previous administration. Iraq has tremendous potential because of their oil and because of other things, but because of their oil. And we're going to be doing a lot of deals. We're going to create a lot of jobs for both countries, and we're going to be taking out a lot of oil. A lot of oil is coming out, and the American companies are doing it. Mostly American companies now. They don't want to do business with others. They want to do business with America, and that's good. And that's one of the reasons that I felt so strongly that this was going to be a great prime minister, and I fought for that.
How would you describe your relationship with Kurdistan regional government at this time? Because Prime Minister yesterday had a statement and fully support you.
أنا أنظر للعراق جسد.
I look at Iraq as a body.
وكل رقعة جغرافية في العراق هي عضو من جسدي.
Each part of Iraq is part of my own body.
فما راح أميز عضو عن آخر.
I would never distinguish between any organ.
ولا يمكن أن أقطع جزء من جسدي بيدي.
I cannot cut off any part of any organ from my own body.
كردستان جزء مهم من العراق.
Kurdistan is such an important part of Iraq.
لا يختلفون عن البصرة وعن المحافظات الأخرى.
No different than Basra and other provinces.
But because such nice things were said about him, that means he likes the man that said those nice things.
They're all like you. Good one.
Mr. President, I have a question for you and a question for the Prime Minister. The first question, Mr. Prime Minister, why did you choose the United States as your first?
Snarking him?
I
am snarking him. Problem?
What concrete steps do you take when you go back to Iraq to make sure that the agreements you are reaching in Washington, D.C. implemented?
أنا ورثت بلد ثقيل.
I inherited such a heavy burden country.
وأنا كماجستير مالية.
I as I have a master's degree in finance.
حللت الوضع الاقتصادي للبلد.
I analyzed the economic situation of the country.
هذا الثقل يراد معي شريك استراتيجي يحمله معي.
This burden I need such a strategic partner to really lift this burden.
وأهم شريك استراتيجي في العالم.
The most important strategic partnership in the world is the United States of America.
فلم تكن زيارتي عابرة أو فراغ.
It wasn't just like any visit or came out of.
ولم تكن عاطفية وإنما عقلية.
It's not emotional. It's about money.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I think so. I think it's going to. Inflation's down. We inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. It was the worst in the history of our country from Biden, Sleepy Joe. He might have been sleepy, but boy, he could create inflation like nobody. And I inherited that, and I got blamed for it. And it's not my fault.
It's not his fault.
We're putting it to sleep. And we've done a great job, Scott and Howard and Marco and even Pete, because he's watching his dollars, right? But they've done a fantastic job. We've all done a fantastic job. So we had the worst inflation in history and the history of our country. I mean, we had months where it was 9 and 10%, and now we have a report just came out. It was just released. Thank you for bringing it up.
Now it's at
but
0.
The report was incredible. Inflation is way down.
Way
that means
down.
prices are coming way down, and we're doing a great job. And remember that. Remember that for the midterms. I say to that camera. Remember that because nobody else could do it. Prices are way down. Prices are coming way down, and we're going to bring them much lower yet.
Much to the bottom.
Anticipating your big announcement on Thursday regarding election machines and integrity. Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect? And tell
Well, I'd rather save it. It will concern that subject. We'll have a couple of other things to say also. But I'd rather save it. But it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too. But it's going to be a very big announcement.
Mr. President, your administration pushed hard to shape Iraq's leadership and tied U.S. support to disarming Iran-backed factions. With the September 15th deadline, weeks away, what happening in Baghdad is it? And does the U.S. troops withdraw from Kurdistan region still proceed on schedule?
I think everything's on schedule. We have a great. Here we are. I mean, we're right now. I even called for a lunch that wasn't scheduled. Okay, so in that way, but we usually I don't think I've ever done that where we didn't have lunch. I said, let's have lunch. You know why? Because I like them. I like them.
He loves
so I
this
think that's all going to work out very well. Yeah.
Sir, you want this Russia sanctions bill signed within the next week or two and fully signed?
Well, I know that Lindsay wanted it very badly. I think they may be adding Iran to it. They're going to add Iran, which is a very big thing. If they did that, they may add Hezbollah too. just put them if you do business with Hezbollah. So we're looking at that, but they're seriously thinking, and this is in honor of Lindsey. This was his thing. He wanted this more than any other thing. You know how he felt. And there's a good chance that it gets done. But they'd like to add Iran, and they'd like to add Hezbollah to it. That's what I'm hearing. So.
And if that means secondary sanctions on China, India, Europe.
We'll have to look. That hasn't been discussed.
Am I ever going to get to use my channel points? Oh, trust me. It's going to be huge when it happens.
Soon.
Huge.
The Prime Minister, Al-Zaidi, has not campaigned on is held by militia under the control of the state. How does your administration support him to accomplish this vision? And my second question, how do you envision the future relations between Kurdistan region and Iran?
I think everything is going to work out. I think people are, the Middle East, believe it or not, is coming together. We're getting rid of the bully of the Middle East. Iran was the bully of the Middle East. They bullied Iraq. They bullied every country. There were big bullies. There was fear all over the Middle East with other countries. I understand that, but there was fear. But there's no fear anymore because their military capability has been knocked to hell, and there's no fear. I think the Middle East is coming together like it's never come together before.
Oh, yeah.
You can't have a dominant factor like Iran that would kill 52,000 protesters. You know, they killed.
They killed like 52
I don't like
at
talking about
least.
it. They killed 52,000 protesters. So the bottom line, all regions, I believe, are coming together, and I think this is going to be one of the great leaders right here. It's going to be one of the great leaders in the Middle East. Go ahead, please. Just explain that, please.
اعتقد انه الان الشرق الاوسط قد تم ترتيب اوضاعه لانه ايران ضعفت الان وهي كانت تتنمر على الجميع فالان انتهى هذا الدور ولا يمكن ان نسمح لقوه واحده او بلد واحد بان يهيمن على كامل المنطقه يعني الناس يغفلون عن ان ايران كذلك الحكومه الايرانيه قتلت 52,000 متظاهر في ايران طبعا نحن لا يمكننا ان نحن لا نفكر في هذا الامر لكنهم كذلك والان انتهى هذا الدور ولم يعد لايران اي
Farsi?
Isn't that not what she's speaking? I don't know what language they speak.
Should be Arabic. Farsi, I believe, is Iranian.
دور في التنمر على اي من جيرانهم.
And I think we could go into this for a long time. And the bottom line is that we have a fantastic relationship with many countries now. I just came back from NATO. Many of you were there, and you saw how that worked out. It was a phenomenal.
Trump thing.
It was a love fest, to be honest. And they love the United States. They even like me.
Wait, what? Repeat that.
It'd be a Trump thing, though. He'd have the person there speaking the wrong language.
Oh, translating it. True. Yeah. Can you, dude, when we look back, people are saying, bro, her translation is horrible. Destiny is hilarious. Rip. Not even good translators want to work for this guy anymore. Also, when you sit down, you're supposed to unbutton your jacket, but okay.
True.
We cannot let the world forget, Mutin. This is our burden, okay?
Okay.
This is our responsibility.
Ready?
It should never be forgotten that Lex Friedman insisted on talking to Zelensky in his horrible, fucked up, broken Russian.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I wasn't around for the Lex Friedman shit, but that's retarded.
Oh, my God.
They love the United States. And we're going to cut costs there by hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe. But the NATO event was incredible. Today's event is incredible. This is a potentially really great country. And many people would say it's a great country. We're helping it. We want to help it. We have a fantastic relationship with the new Prime Minister. He's a strong person. He's a very brilliant guy. He's very much acknowledged. Or he couldn't have won that election. That was a highly competitive election. And he went out and won. And it's a big story. I mean, it's a big, big story. And I just want to say that the United States has never done better. We're doing well. You know, more people are working today in the United States than at any time in history. We have more things being built. Factories, plants, AI, automobile plants are being built at record numbers, more than we've ever had ever before. The tariffs have been used very judiciously and properly, and companies are pouring in, and countries are pouring into this country to build factories because when they build them, they have no tariffs. And we have numbers $19.2 trillion as an example.
Brilliant.
Under Biden, it was less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're at $19.2 trillion.
Now we have 19.2. I don't know what nobody's talking about, but
nobody's ever seen anything like it. Our relationship with Iraq is, I would say, it went from being not so good to being outstanding. And we're going to have a long-term relationship with Iraq. We're going to have a long-term relationship with a man that will be a great leader. You mark my words.
Mark
I knew what I was
words.
doing. This man is going to be a great leader in the Middle East, beyond Iraq. His influence is going to spread all throughout the Middle East, and we're very happy about it. And we are very happy to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Destiny LSF thread. Destiny shares dating advice for women. What did I say? Who posts these clips like a day later? Can't be. It's got to be the
VOD watchers
or the Kickbot farm. Peter Thiel activates. Oh God, what did I say here? Can't be that. It wouldn't be this stupid, right? This is why I always, if a woman's ever asking me for advice on a guy or whatever, I always say like, you know, she's like, oh, how do I let this guy down? Or I don't know if I want to see this guy. I always say ghost. Don't ever ghost him. True. Oh, yeah, that's true. I stand by that. Why does it keep defaulting to best when I select top every time? It's so fucking annoying.
So smart you are, dear leader.
I know. Huh, good one. Epic. how we need to go from sex pest to rapist, guys. What do we do?
Rape someone.
What?
Well, you asked me.
Really, Mooten? Really?
You asked.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Yo.
Wait, I don't. Fuck, what happened?
I didn't get it.
Strongest regions: Israel, Canada, NASA. Just like what he's is that just like the place he's identified the most, or? Okay. Trump calls for Congress to pass Clarity Act crypto bill to honor Lindsey Graham. In honor of Senator Lindsey Graham, a big supporter, the U.S. Senate should pass the Clarity Act. China and many other countries would like to take complete and total control of this major financial happening, as well as AI, where we are now leading, but where they are fighting hard. Don't let China win on either subject. The Clarity Act is one of the first wide-ranging pieces of legislation to regulate cryptocurrencies and is backed by the crypto industry and the White House. Oh, that's how you know it's good. It has some snags. It has hit some snags in the Senate, with Democrats pushing for increased ethics guardrails for elected officials like Trump, who has made billions of dollars on digital currencies. The Senate Banking Committee approved the bill 15-9 in May, with 2 Democrats joining Republicans to advance the legislation. Graham did not serve on the Banking Committee, so he didn't cast one of the votes. Graham was also not a particularly key figure in crypto policy debates and was not a primary player in the Clarity Act. What? Trump was like, guys, for memory of him,
we got to pass the shit I want.
we got to pass some shit I want. Yeah, okay, good one. Retard. Stupid.
Lindsay would love it, though.
Yeah.
This is how he wanted to go, probably.
Wow, Rise, WTF, good one.
Stop tier 5.
This was 6 days ago, but...
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with President Zelensky. We've talked a little while.
Oh, this was actually good.
On occasion by phone. We had a great talk the other day, I think, very positive. And I think we have...
How do you feel about the fact that Trump basically circumvented the Iraqi elections? I really don't know enough about them to know what he did or didn't do, so I don't have like a strong opinion about it. Well, some guy in chat earlier said, I don't know if this is the same one, was saying that that guy who won the election basically wasn't even on the ballot, and nobody knew who he was until after he won because of Trump or something, but I don't know what the president can even do insofar as influencing those elections or whatever. Not to say that he can, maybe he might, I just don't know, I have no idea.
Very good stories to tell. What's going on? He wants to see a settlement, and I think President Putin wants to see a settlement. And usually that means a settlement, but who knows? This is a tough one. But I just, we just had our NATO meeting, and it was a great meeting. You probably heard it was a great meeting. There was a lot of love in that room, a lot of unity, and I don't think it could have been. Marco, what do you think? It couldn't have gone much better. Do you have a feeling as to what you just saw?
Very positive. A lot of unity, strength in it.
Really good. Scott, what do you think?
Yes, sir. All the Europeans attribute.
Everything's great, sir.
These fucking losers. Vance is not here. Rubio's sitting here. Trump's sitting here. Zelensky shows up in his Slav gear. Hell yeah. Fuck
I think
these
he's in
guys.
a suit-ish. No?
What? No.
Strength in it.
Really good. Scott, what do you think?
Yes, sir. All the Europeans attributed you to saving NATO, and they want to do what they're supposed to do and do the right thing.
Yeah, there was something very special, and I will say that what they've done with Turkey and President Erdogan has been a friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. Strong man, good man, and he's done a fantastic job. Every road, everything's perfect. He's from the airport to the destination, everything's been perfect. So we had a really good meeting, and we thought this would be a good time for President Zelensky and I to meet, and we'll see what we can do. But we've actually developed a good relationship. It's hard to believe, right? From the Oval Office to now, I think we've developed a very good relationship. And
this is not the end.
No, this is not. This is going to be the beginning, maybe. Yeah. Just the beginning. And the country has a lot of future. It has such great land, such great assets, such great people. And you have a lot of people. I was with a group in Poland, and you have a lot of people in Poland, and which is a terrific country with a really great president. I happen to endorse him, and he's doing a very good job. And they were saying they love Poland, but they really want to go back. You're going to get a lot of people back when this is over. They left some, and they're all. I think they're going to come back. A big percentage are going to come back. So
hold on, I'm sorry, I wasn't. What is he talking about?
Zelensky's people who left.
He's such a fucking retard.
This is going to be the beginning, maybe. Just the beginning. And you know, the country has a lot of future. It has such great land, such great assets, such great people. And you have a lot of people. I was with a group in Poland, and you have a lot of people in Poland, and which is a terrific country with a really great president. I happen to endorse him, so, and he's doing a very good job. And they were saying they love Poland, but they really want to go back. You know, you're going to get a lot of people back when this is over. They left some, and they're all. I think they're
like. It sounds like assuming he's not talking about like actual refugees or whatever. Is he just talking about draft dodgers? Like the people that fled because they didn't want to get conscripted? Like it's just such a cringe. God, he's so fucking retarded.
Come back. A big percentage are going to come back. So have a good talk, and we're going to see how it all goes. And Mr. President, would you like to say
something?
Are
they just refugees?
Thanks so much.
Maybe they just heard to. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you very much for this meeting, and we're very thankful, as always, to your support, American support, bipartisan support. Thanks for the invitation to this summit, and I think that I agree with you. We have a lot what to discuss and to speak about, and of course we are thankful for the Pearl program, and we want to share with you some details what we want to raise during our meeting.
Somebody said Iraq's current political situation right now could be split between pro-Iran militia factions and pro-Sadr factions. This Ali al-Zaidi guy has tacit endorsement from the latter, but not the former, and the only militias he managed to disarm are from Sadrist factions. Okay.
We are thankful for the Pearl program, and we want to share with you some details what we want to raise during our meeting. Air defense is the priority. The second point, or maybe the first, about negotiations. I think, yes, we understand what to do. It's our estimation what to do, how to bring this, and I hope that we will do. I'm sure that we will do everything to stop this war. Yeah, and I'm very happy that our sides began to work on drone deal, and it's a very good beginning, and I hope that today I will have possibility to also to discuss with you some very important details. Thanks so much.
Well, we've settled a lot of wars, and this one is the one that I thought maybe would be the easiest. But Putin's a difficult character, and this guy's a difficult character. It's not the easiest thing, and there's a lot of commitment, and there's a lot of love of the countries and everything else. But I think we've made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks, and we'll see how it all goes. So, do you have any questions?
President Trump, with the Iran ceasefire possibly over, can we expect the resumption of full-scale hostilities?
They are behaving very badly, as they have for 47 years. And we hit them hard last night after they launched a couple of, you don't have to know about this, you got stuff on your mind, but they launched a couple of drones and one rocket, one missile, and at chips, because they were in the Strait, which they have every right to be. And so we hit them very hard last night, very, very hard. Probably hit them hard again tonight. I'll give them a little warning, we're going to hit them hard tonight. But we'll see how it all works out. No, I'm not happy with them. You know, it's like, for instance, we'll have a meeting, we'll talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because that's what the war is. It's not a war, it's really the denuclearization of Iran. And we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about just that. That's because my whole thing is not about regime change. It's not about, although I think it's regime change when you knock out the first group, the second group, and now you're the, I think.
Oh, true. This week, Strict Scrutiny discussed what to learn from Orban with respect to reforming SCOTUS, such as restricting their jurisdiction and layering another court underneath them to handle most cases. Yeah, the problem is that I've said this before. I'm probably going to try to bully a lot of people at LibCon about this. The problem is that if we're going to reform parts of this country that are desperately needing it, we're not going to be able to continue to pretend like it's a bipartisan problem, because the people that have the bipartisan approach where they think like everybody is corrupt and all that aren't going to give us good solutions. They're just retarded slopulists. So you're going to need some actual libcuck people who are willing to say we need to do some reforms because like conservatives are fucking crazy. And so here's
the country.
Yeah. And what?
They're ruining the country.
Yeah. But the big thing is that though, what you're going to have to do, because whatever reforms we're going to do, we're not going to be able to sell them to the conservatives because it's going to hurt them. So like, I don't know, like there's no way around that. And I think that somehow people delude themselves into thinking that there's some path forward where we do the reforms necessary to kind of like make this country whole again, that is going to be like a bipartisan approach that where everybody is feeling, equal parts happy and sad. But like, it's just
impossible.
Not. Yeah. Any Supreme Court reform or whatever is going to hurt probably the conservatives' power on the Supreme Court. Like, they're not going to be happy about it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. What are you going to do?
That's maybe the ultimate regime change, but But that's not what it's about. It's about we don't want them to have nuclear weapons, and it's denuking or denuclearization. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And they'll get out of the room. We'll talk about it like we're here. They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go have a news conference and say we never even talked about it. They're cuckoo. There's something wrong with these people. And for 47 years, they've been the bully of the Middle East, and they're not the bully anymore. They're not the bully anymore. And all we want, it's very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That's what I'm there for.
Easy.
President Trump, sir. President Trump.
If they did, they'd use it, and we're not going to let that
President
happen.
Trump, sir.
Daniel?
You've made a career making deals in
he
very
loves
challenging
this guy.
situations. Speaking to President Zelensky, speaking to President Putin, in your view, sir, what is the most pragmatic pathway forward to finding a long-term peace deal?
I just think they're going to make a deal. Look, this deal has been in the works for a long time. It's got the pluses, the minuses. They know what it is. He knows what it is better than anybody. And I just think it's sometimes, I used an analogy, and it sounds simple,
Notice
but
how
it's
he
sort of
didn't
true.
say anything
Yeah.
there. It's got
Two
the
kids-
pluses, it's got the minuses. We're gonna make it. He's just fucking retarded.
Yeah, Oh, welcome to the last 10 years of American politics. Yeah. I mean, even when he's talking about, like, talking to people, notice that every single time he talks about talking to people, he never, ever mentions who he spoke to. He'll always say, he did it in the last one with the Iraqi prime minister guy. Yeah, I've talked to a lot of leaders. They all call me, and I chat with them, and, and sometimes he'll even say, like, yeah, they don't want to go on the record, ha, 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 because I'm so unpopular sometimes because people hate me, ha, 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 and they don't want to get in trouble. Like, yeah, but he never, ever brings up specifics ever. That's why he uses words like tremendous and, yeah. At Destiny, it's hard to understate how badly the entire originalism discourse has damaged the court. I don't actually think the originalism discourse has damaged the court. I actually think... I can't say this with any degree of certainty, but I don't care. I'll say it anyway, because fuck everybody. I actually think that all of the originalist criticisms were 100% correct. And I think that people like Scalia or whatever were right when they were saying we have to get rid of judicial activism. The only issue is that conservatives somehow managed to convince the entire country that it was the other people that were the activists and not them. That's the issue.
In a park, and they don't like each other, and they start fighting. Sometimes you have to let them fight. Let them see that it's tough, it's tough. Fighting is tough. And he's done an amazing job. Look, he's been very effective. Now he's had the best equipment because he's had our equipment, and he's had great. But somebody has to use that equipment, and you have a lot of brave people that are using that equipment. And Russia, it's a big country, but it's a big force. Russia's always been a big fighting force. So it's. But I really believe it's ready. It's very interesting because you'd almost say it's worse than ever, and maybe it isn't. Sometimes with war, and you study war, and I've studied it so long, for years long before I did this. Sometimes it's when it gets the worst. And I don't know that it's the worst right now. It's consistently bad. They lost 25,000 people were lost kids, young people last month. And we had a month, 35, 2 months ago. And I would say more Russians. And but it's just, they're people. They're people. And there's actually very little difference between the people. I mean, it's like the Russians and Ukrainian people. And they can get along. But it's a nasty war. Thousands and thousands, mostly soldiers, are being killed. The battlefields, I see pictures, and it's horrible. He thinks it's horrible. We all think it's horrible. And the president wants to get it done, and I believe that President Putin wants to get it done, and that should be a good combination. Thank you.
Mr. President, what is your assessment on Ukraine's strike on Russian oil refineries and military factories?
Where are you from?
Ukraine.
Phrase the question differently, please.
He didn't mean the country.
Ukraine delivered strikes on Russian military factories and on oil refineries, and they ran out of gas.
Marco, why don't you answer that? Because you're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, I think what you're discussing is the ability of Ukraine to reach deep inside of Russia.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on,
Your assessment on Ukraine's strike on Russian oil refineries and military factories.
Where are you from?
Ukraine.
Phrase the question differently, please.
Ukraine delivered
He thinks it's horrible. We all think it's horrible. And the president wants to get it done, and I believe that President Putin wants to get it done, and that should be a good combination. Thank you.
Mr. President, what is your assessment on Ukraine's strike on Russian oil refineries and military factories?
Where are you from?
Ukraine.
Phrase the question differently, please.
Ukraine delivered strikes on Russian military factories.
He wants his opinion on, like, what do you think about the fact that Russia has been struck, their oil refineries are struck by Ukraine? I don't know if he doesn't have an opinion on it, or he just didn't understand the question, or...
And on oil refineries, and they ran out of gas.
Marco, why don't you answer that? Because you're right in the middle.
Trump has no idea. He's not... Bro, he hasn't kept up with anything. He's dying. Moot. He's on...
I find it impossible to believe that he doesn't know Ukraine is striking oil refineries.
Why do you find that impossible?
Because I would assume that would be something Putin would be calling to bitch at him about.
No, I don't think they have that kind of relationship.
You don't think so?
No, definitely not. Okay. Yeah, I think he's kind of checked out. I think he's been a little bit checked out. There's like all the FIFA, the sports stuff, the NBA stuff. Like,
Yeah, no, I think
It's
what you're
got a lot of
discussing is
games
the
to watch.
ability of Ukraine to reach deep inside Russia
Yeah,
and
sure.
conduct strikes. I think that's one of the dynamics that's changed in this war over the last few months, and that is that the Russians are finding it more difficult to defend their own airspace. And what we hope that means is that it's going to create the space now to negotiate the end of this war.
It's an escalation, but it's also an escalation that can help lead to an end.
When you try to add something to the group project, yeah, and you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Mr. President, what makes you think that Mr. Putin might be seeking for the settlement?
So where are you from?
Radio Free Europe's Ukrainian service. I'm from Ukraine.
Okay. Because I talked to him. I talked to him. I talked to President
He wants to
Zelensky,
know the
and I
news
think
orgs.
that's all I've done my whole life.
I hate it when he
I've
asks that
been
fucking question.
Just becoming president was making a deal, right? It was like a lot of little individual things. In the end, it's making a deal, and that's what I do. And
I make deals.
I do it well, and I
don't know
when
which
people
ones.
want to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal, and I do feel that President Zelensky would like to get back to rebuilding his country as opposed to, having all of this death and destruction. Ukraine has tremendous potential. He understands that. We talk about that. He talks about that more than he talks about the war. To me, I think you might find that more exciting than the war. This is brutal. The other's the beauty of it. I think he'll build a great country. I think he's going to build it. We have a little stake in that country now because we have some land in that country.
I know that he's not very statesman. There's so many weird dynamics. To describe Ukraine, my opinion, maybe it doesn't come off this way, actually, Zelensky. First of all, calling anything a potential is kind of an insult, okay? Especially with somebody that's performing very well. Calling an Eastern European country has great potential. The implication is that it's fucked and there's nothing going on, and hopefully in the future they can do something good. To say that you guys have potential to be great or whatever. I mean, I feel like Ukraine has already done some really amazing, really great things.
Yeah.
I'm being a little bit picky here. I know that it's kind of silly that I would expect the president of the United States of America to also be statesmanly and be able to, interact with world leaders without sounding like a fucking buffoon. But to do this over and over again, oh, you can rebuild, you can be great, you guys can do this, is chill. They've done a lot of great things. They already are. They could be better, would be a better way to phrase that, but whatever.
Country, but we have minerals. It's among the wealthiest. It's among the best land anywhere in the world for rare earth. And we have some rare earth. I look forward to taking advantage of it at the right time.
I also fucking hate Trump is what everybody thought an American president was or whatever, just an imperial. Has Trump ever said anything? You've watched maybe more of him than I have the past year. Has Trump said anything good about another country ever that doesn't sound like a resource to be raped by American machines? Has he ever said anything good about a country besides they got oil, they got rare earth, they got they got minerals? What?
France, because he really likes their palace, but it kind of also does sound like he wants to rape it because he's there's so much gold there. I love the Palace of Versailles. It's such a beautiful place. So, but that's it, yeah.
God, it's so cringe the way that he talks about everything. Fuck, I hate him so much.
Europe make Patriot missiles in Europe.
It's one of my favorite soldiers. You see him? He's central casting. Right? You doing okay? Yes. We see him at meetings. He's good. He's done a great job. Great job.
Trying to do our best.
Yeah, great hero, actually.
So, have you allowed Europe to make Patriot interceptors in Europe? Are you comfortable with licensing that technology?
What?
Patriot interceptors to be made in Europe.
And you're talking with respect to Ukraine. Well, we're going to talk about that. Look, it's a defensive weapon, which I like, better than an offensive weapon. It's the best. So I was saying we have an aircraft carrier, which is one of the most beautiful in the world. It's one of the biggest, the Abraham Lincoln. And 2 months ago, we had 100, I told this story yesterday, we had 111 missiles shot by the Islamic Republic of Japan. They were shot at the aircraft carrier over a period of about 1 hour. 111 missiles going to a very expensive ship, and every one of those missiles was knocked down.
Wow.
Pretty much, most by Patriots, but by other means also, as you know. Yeah. Other less expensive means. It's even better when you do that. But out of the 111 missiles, every one of them was shot down. It didn't hit the ship, and bad things happen, right, when that happened. So think of that, over a period of 1 hour, these missiles are coming at you, and every one of them shot down. So I think one of the things we're going to be talking about is,
one more time.
The companies, we have great power over the companies. Those companies that make the Patriot and make all of the great stuff, the Tomahawks, all of the great stuff. We have the best stuff. Many things the Patriot's great, but we have many, many great things. You see that with Venezuela. You see it with Iran. Look, Iran has been wiped out. Iran, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, everything's gone.
Keep saying
but
that.
One of the things I think we're going to be talking about today, a little birdie told me this, about the fact that we'll give them the right to make Patriots. We'll show them how to do it. It's very complex.
This was actually really good.
But it's you'll figure out the complexity quickly, and we're talking about that. And the company that makes them, which is building now 4 plants. All of our companies will be able to do this in 2 to 3 months. If you order a Patriot, now you have to wait a long time for them. Same thing with Tomahawks. We have a lot of certain equipment, but with they call it the elite equipment, and you don't need elite equipment necessarily for a war. But so one of the things we're going to be talking about is we're going to give a license to you to make Patriots. That's pretty cool, right? This way you can't complain that we're not giving them enough. I say make them yourself. We haven't informed the company of that yet, but that'll work out all right. I'm sure they'll be thrilled. But they'll be able to do it. You'll be able to figure that out. Most countries couldn't do that.
No.
If I said that to most countries, they wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But this is a very ingenious group, and what I like about that, it's a defensive situation as opposed to an offensive. But I think one of the things you might want to be talking about is that. That's what I heard. Little birdie told me that.
President, on Iran, can you clarify, does the end of the ceasefire mean that we are back to a full-scale military conflict?
Look, they violate the agreement every day. They lie, they cheat, they kill people. They've been killing people for 47 years. They knocked out the SS Cole. We lost, 200 people more. That was a long time ago. For 47 years, no president did anything about that.
Can you believe that?
Well, Obama actually gave them vast amounts of money.
Obama?
He gave them a plane load of money, $1.7 billion in green cash.
757.
They loaded up a Boeing.
Do you know how much money that is?
57. Remember the old 750? It was a beautiful plane loaded up with cash. They took all the seats out, and they took all of the cash from Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. banks. They had no money. They took every ounce of cash, put it in, flew it to Iran, and gave them the money. I wonder what these guys thought of when the door opened and cash fell out.
What
of
a
this
bunch of
big
suckers.
plane, beautiful plane. And then on top of that, they gave them billions and billions of dollars. And by the way, they gave it to the wrong country. Frankly, you want to know the truth. And it began. That was pretty much the Obama deal.
Yeah, you said Islamic Republic of Japan. We saw that 2 days ago. Yeah.
That was one of the worst tragedies that happened. That's what happened in the Middle East. That deal set back that whole situation. They went with it. Frankly, they picked the wrong country. JCPOC. What a terrible deal. I call it the Obama nuclear waste deal, because what he did with that deal is he caused tremendous hardship in the Middle East. It was a terrible thing to do. And we've been just the opposite. Our deal is a wall to a nuclear weapon. His deal was a road to a nuclear weapon. They'll never build a nuclear weapon under our deal, but I don't know if we're going to have a deal. We may just do it without a deal. Because you know what? It's easier. Because these people, they lie and they cheat, and you have an agreement, and they'll go outside. For instance, they agreed, well, we'll never have a nuclear weapon. They agreed. Then they go outside, they have a news conference, and when they leak, that we never discussed the subject.
What?
Now, who would believe we never discussed the subject? Because for me, that's 99.9% of what we're doing. It's denuclearization of Iran, okay? So, when you ask, our guys can continue. You know, Steve is great, and Jared, and all the guys. They know him very well. Yeah, actually, they're working on your stuff, too. I wonder which. I picked 2 beauties. You know what? We settled 8 wars. I got a couple of beauties here. But Steve's great, and Jared's great. You know, they're the right guys. And we'll see what happens. But I will say this. Iran, they've misbehaved for 47 years. They've killed our soldiers, they've killed our people, and they've killed a lot of people all over the Middle East and elsewhere. And the roadside bomb was their preferred, the preferred weapon was by Soleimani.
Soleimani. That was a bad guy. Trump got him. You know that.
We actually built trucks with floors, steel this thick. And then all they did was they made bigger bombs. And we have young guys around, not walking around because they have no legs. But their legs were blown off, their arms were blown off, their face was blown off. And they live because of modern medicine. You can do anything. But they're living like in hell. Their whole life changed because of Iran. And that was 96% of the people that used that, they were made in Iran. And so we have a score to settle too.
Mr. President, you say that President Putin is ready to finish this war. What if he doesn't? Are you ready to put pressure on Russia? Are you ready to put more sanctions?
We have a lot of pressure on President Putin.
Yeah, they're already pressured.
I don't think he likes what's going on. I don't think he's thrilled with what's happening. There's a lot of pressure on President Putin to get it done. I think it's pressure on everybody to get that one done.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of pressure.
What's your security guarantee for Ukraine?
The guarantee?
Yeah, security guarantee for
the
Ukraine.
Security guarantee?
Yeah.
I mean, not that we want to do it. We'll do it to save lives. Look, Ukraine's very...
He has no... It's just so crazy to me that he doesn't understand the significance of anything. Like, imagine somebody saying, like, how many goals were in the soccer game yesterday? And I'm like, goals? Well, like, they had a goal to have good defense. They had a goal to, like, play hard. They had a goal to make sure that their players were healthy. It's just like... It's just crazy that he knows nothing. And he doesn't have the capacity to learn. I bet he's solidly a 100 IQ or below. He's like 97 IQ. He doesn't have the capacity to even learn anymore. He hasn't picked anything up. Like, for foreign policy, especially with regards to Ukraine and with regards to Israel, security guarantee is like that's like a red flag. That's like a warning. Oh, that's a big, what are the security guarantees? This is like the most important thing, arguably, that people are discussing when it comes to the U.S. relationship with other countries. It's like, well, guarantees, yeah, I mean, I guess. And you just...
I don't think he likes what's going on. I don't think he's thrilled with what's happening. There's a lot of pressure on President Putin to get it done. I think it's pressure on everybody to get that one done. A lot of pressure.
What's your security guarantee for Ukraine?
The guarantee?
Yeah, security guarantee for Ukraine.
Security guarantee?
Yeah.
Talking about? I mean, not that we want to do it. We'll do it to save lives. Look, Ukraine's very far away. We have an ocean separating us. What I'm doing is I'm trying to save lives. A lot of lives are being lost. I also think that it's a country with great potential. I think if this kind of brain power can go toward rebuilding the country instead of fighting a war, I think that country is going to do fantastically well. And likewise, Russia, look, they're devoting a lot of energy. Do you have a question for President Putin, please? Do you have a question for President Putin? Not Zelensky. Yeah, what would you like to ask him? Because I'm going to ask him that question.
Trying to play it off.
Russia paper tiger referring that they're not doing
What did I call?
I'm from the Ukrainian media.
No, give us a question, not for Zelensky. Give us a question for Putin.
Oh, he's really trying to play it off. Oh, he's trying to hold on.
Yeah,
Why is it a good hard question?
When will he end this war?
That's a good question. I don't think I've ever asked him that question. I'm going to ask him that question.
Mr. President, what's the status of a trade deal between the U.S. and Ukraine? What's the status?
By the way, I will tell you though, he's going to tell you that he wants it ended as soon as he can end it. He wants it ended. He wants to end it soon. And I ask him, and we talk. I talk to him a lot. I talk to him a little bit less, but the relationship is very good. But I talk to President Putin a lot. He wants to end the war. A lot of people don't believe that.
What's the status of a trade deal between Ukraine? What are President Putin's conditions for ending the war? Do you know what?
Well, they were certain conditions that were a little bit different. I think they're changing. I think they're probably getting a little bit better toward some of the things that you like.
Yeah.
It's been tougher in Russia. It's been a lot tougher than it was supposed to be. I mean, in all fairness, this was supposed to be this is a war that would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened.
Okay.
You'd have a full country. I mean, this is
Biden's fault.
But no, this is something that I think Zelensky wants to do and Putin wants to do. They want to get it done. Ask the president that question. Ask him.
Пане президенте, ви знаєте, на яких зараз умовах Володимир Путін готовий завершувати війну в Україні? Чи ж вони змінилися?
No, I don't know I don't know what conditions Putin now wants for this peace. So I think that they are changing in any way because at the very beginning of full-scale war he was stronger, and now I think he is losing initiative on the battlefield. I think his army. But that's why I think that because of technologies, because it's not the question now of number of people. People, our heroic people, are very important. But now it's not a question of only number of people. First of all, people and technologies. People with technologies. Now I think that we have better steps, technological steps further than Russia. Maybe quicker, because they produce a lot of different things which are tough, strong against us, but we are quicker. And that's why I think that now initiative moved to our hands. Not totally, but moved. We are trying to move this war to the sky from the battlefield. That's why we now begin to control the battlefield. This is very important. It's difficult when you have less people to move them back. But we found another way how to do it, to cut their logistic for their army. It's about weapon, petrol, diesel, without massive human losses. That is the difference between us, by the way. Russia is...
He's got a lot of support. I just left a room with, where they have, mostly European, Canada, but mostly European countries. And they have great support for Ukraine.
Crazy, yeah.
And
the Ukraine.
One of the things he talked about questions for Putin.
More water, pour.
But one of the things that I talked to him about was where would you want to meet? And he said ideally in Moscow. I said you're not going to meet in Moscow. It just doesn't work. You can't do that. But he'll meet, and Zelensky's going to meet, and something's going to happen that's going to be positive. And I hope it's going to happen soon, because they have to. Number one, lives, but number two, building your country. Because it's got a tremendous future, in my opinion. Yeah.
Where was it held and when would that happen?
I don't know. President Putin said, I would love to meet in Moscow. And I said, I don't think, I have to put myself in this position. I don't know that he'd go to Moscow. Maybe he would. Would you go to Moscow?
It's difficult. There are a lot of Ukrainian drones there. That's why.
Europe? No, it's hard to go to Moscow.
Trump doesn't even understand the joke, bro. Kill me, dude. Oh my god.
Mr. President, how to ensure that Ukraine will not be attacked again by Russia?
What about?
How to make sure that Ukraine will not be attacked by Russia again?
Look, you mean in the future? You mean after there's an agreement? Well, we're going to work on a security guarantee, and Russia respects us a lot.
And it's so funny, like the American president can say that, but it doesn't carry any weight because it's just like, it doesn't, because everybody knows he's retarded. That would be a monumentally huge statement. The United States is committing to some kind of security guarantee. That's almost like a NATO-esque statement, right? Which is, dipshits like on Trump's team would say that's why we're in this war at all or whatever, NATO expansion bullshit.
We're going to work on some kind of a security. If we can make the right deal, we'll help Europe. I mean, Europe is going to be watching it, but we're going to be helping them, and we'll work on some kind of a security package that will make sure.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that if we make a deal, Russia is going to be very happy, and they're going to get on with other things. They have, by the way, as a country too, they have tremendous potential. They have tremendous land, valuable land that they can do things with, and they have tremendous potential. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see. That question is, they're going to attack again. I don't see it at all. I think they've had it. This has been going on for almost 5 years. Right?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? I mean, it's a tribute because it's a bigger country, strong country, and it's an amazing tribute. Anything else?
With the Patriot missiles, President Zelensky has said that Ukraine needs Patriot missiles now. Over 50 Ukrainians have died in recent airstrikes just in the last few days. So in addition to these production licenses, which will take time, would you consider providing any to Ukraine immediately?
We have Patriots, but we don't have that many. We need them for ourselves too. You know?
This was a
some
answer.
I think they can produce them pretty quickly. Once we explain it, we'll bring the company here. We'll work with the company.
I just don't think he really has any idea what's going on, bro.
Weapons. Pretty complex weapons.
Will you go to Ukraine? President, do you have any deadline? Will you go to Ukraine?
I would, yeah.
Do you have any deadline when you want to reach?
I'd rather have the war be over.
Do you have any
I'm not
deadline?
sure a Secret Service would be thrilled.
Are you willing to cross this limit?
I think the people are incredible. And, I mean, like Kiev, it would be nice to get it before any more damage is done, to be honest. It's such a beautiful city, right? And yeah, I would go to Ukraine at the right time.
Do you have any deadline when you want to reach a deal between Ukraine and Russia? Do you have any deadline in that regard?
No, I don't have a deadline. You can't have a deadline. It's it's too much going on. But I think you're going to have a deal. I think I've been very good. We had certain deals like Azerbaijan and some of the deals that we made, and they've been going on for 32 years. And they said it's an impossible thing to get them solved. Eight different deals. Even in the Congo, it was. Think of it. You have the Congo and Rwanda. That was 14 million people dead. A lot of them with machetes. It's horrible. We got that one solved. Or, it flares up every once in a while, I must say. But we got deals done that weren't doable. But if you look at, India and Pakistan, they were at it. We get them done. And when we get them done, I find that people are not anxious to go back into it.
Yeah.
I think we'll have, you once mentioned the word security guarantee in the Oval Office.
Yep.
And, I think they're going to need some kind of a security guarantee, but we're going to work with them. It's important. I think he thinks that's a very important thing.
The security guarantee is very important.
And they'll live by it.
Partially, President said about Patriots and licenses. The Patriot system is the best, in the world for today. The best anti-ballistic system. So we used a lot of...
That's the best.
Yeah, they're the best one. And we checked everything during the war. So this is true. So with all respect to other partners, we are thankful for all the systems. Patriots
they had different systems in Venezuela. Yeah. So Venezuela had systems that didn't work. We didn't have one plane shot down. We didn't have... We had one helicopter operator who was incredible. He landed it perfectly, and his leg was almost blown off. And we gave him the Congressional Medal of Honor because very few people could have landed that. You landed with your feet, really, more than anything else. And he landed it. He was really in bad shape. And at the State of the Union, we gave him. He was a handsome guy, big handsome guy, but we gave him the Congressional Medal of Honor at the State of the Union. So look, he wants to get it done, and we're going to get it done.
What's the status on a drone deal between Ukraine and the U.S.?
What's that?
What's the status of a drone deal between Ukraine and the U.S.?
Well, we would buy their drones, and we make drones. We make great drones, but they have an ability to make a lot of them, which is, right, Marco, amazing that in a war situation they make them. They make them in basements. They make them wherever the hell you have a little shelter, even if you don't have shelter, I think I suspect, right? It's an amazing ability. Very few. Well, that's why I say with the Patriots, they would be able to do it. Most countries would not be able. They don't have the talent. You have very talented people. So, yeah, I think we're going to make that deal. If we made that deal, we'd have great protection. I love the protection. Think if you had a lot of Patriots, you'd never be hit as an example in Kiev, where they get hit with missiles. Those missiles, like what I said about the Abraham Lincoln, the missiles would be shot down. Yeah. So, and I think you'd start making it pretty quickly. Right? You like the idea?
No, it's a great idea.
I think everybody likes that one.
As part of security guarantees, are you ready to close the skies in case Russia attacks again?
Close what?
To close the skies over Ukraine in case Russia.
It's been
As a part of security guarantees, are you ready to impose a no-fly?
If it's necessary, yeah. I mean, look,
no-fly zone. Why not? Yeah,
security guarantee or no security guarantee. Sure. If we have a deal, we're going to have to worry about what you're saying.
That sounds like a great idea, actually. He's like, why don't we do that already?
Which I think we will. We're going to have a deal. Now, we want to make sure the deal sticks. Some people don't think it will. I think it will. I'm sure it will. I'm not sure it will with Iran. If we make a deal with Iran, I'm not sure that will stick.
May I ask you, what does your...
Because I found them to be very dishonorable people. Yeah.
Dishonorable. Ooh.
And I mean, I don't want to upset him, but everything I've done with President Putin has been okay. It's been good. He's going to say it. But
his eyes went up. He's gonna try so fucking hard not to lose his shit. It's funny because even Trump knows that's bullshit. Because, like, how many times has Trump baby raged after he has a conversation with Putin and the next day they're like fucking bombing them 7,000 times as hard? Like, I feel like the scariest fucking thing for a Ukrainian is hearing that Putin and Trump just had a talk, because the next day is going to be the worst bombing in the history of your country. Like, I feel like it's happened like 3 times.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to reimpose the naval blockade?
I don't find that with him. And I mean, I don't want to upset him, but everything I've done with President Putin has been okay. It's been good. He's going to say, I wouldn't expect you to say that, but it's good. I don't think anything's going to be broken. And we're going to do a security guarantee in case it is. But with Iran, 47 years, this should have been done by another president a long time ago, or somebody else, another country. But they got stronger and stronger, and now they're weak.
Are you going to reimpose the naval
Don't
blockade
forget,
on
we
Iranian
knocked out
ports?
159 ships in 1 week. That's
Don't
good even
forget
for
that.
you, right? 159. Their entire navy is at the bottom of the sea. And now they have little boats, little tiny boats.
We have all the cards.
We knocked about
Hell
28
yeah.
of them out last night with the same.
I fucking
the same
love the
weapon we used
cards.
for the drug people. You know, drugs are down. By the way, drugs by sea are down 97%. Meaning,
Bet you didn't know
nobody
that.
wants to get into those boats and take drugs into. They're down 97%, and we're using the same thing for the mine boats. You know, they like to drop mines in, and we hit a lot of them last night, like 28. We knocked out 28 boats last night, little ones. That's all they have is little ones.
Are you going to try to take out more tonight?
Will we go tonight?
We
You know,
might.
normally I wouldn't tell you.
But I'll
I
tell
wouldn't
you.
But you know what?
Because you're cute.
There's not a thing they can do about it. So the answer is probably.
So the answer, you know what?
That's right. He just
Probably.
said he's going to the.
Yeah, we're gonna
Presidents,
do
they
it.
deserve it.
President Trump, what is the effectiveness of last night's attack? What message does that send to what's left of the Iranians?
Which attack you
The
talking
attack that you guys had on Iran last night. The strikes last night?
Oh, I think it has a tremendous impact. Well, first of all, we took out additional. You know, they were trying to rebuild their radar, and they had about 60% built. Now they have to start all over again. Look, we're not attacking at the highest level. The highest level of the bridges. They're
Bridges?
which we can knock down. I would say in one day we knocked down every single bridge in Iran. There's not a thing they can do about it. They're electric manufacturing facilities, right? They're electric plants where they make their electricity there. We will, if we have to, we'll take them out. I don't want to do that, but if we have to, we'll take them out. They have desalinization plants. We'll take them out if we have to. I hate to do that. That's
Jesus
probably the one I
Christ.
would like not to do least.
Crazy.
We attacked Carg Island last night. We knocked out a piece. I said, don't touch the oil. Because maybe we'll take over Carg Island.
Maybe.
We may take over Carg Island.
We may just
There's
own the
not a
whole
thing they
fucking
can do
thing.
about it.
Fuck it.
But I said, don't hit the pipes. Just hit everything else.
Yeah, we need to use those.
They may hit it again tonight. So, you know, as for your question, normally I'm not that way. But they really deserve it.
They do.
Because they're
Fuck
saying they
them.
want to make a deal, but they don't. You know, they asked for.
They won't make a
time
goddamn
out. They
deal.
wanted to go to the funeral of Khomeini. And I said, give it to them. And they start shooting missiles. I mean, it's a crazy thing.
That's a crazy thing,
Now,
man.
We did kill him. Yeah, so I guess you have to look at it that way. But the funeral took place, and they wanted to have a
He's so
period of time.
fucking retarded,
And they
bro.
also asked that we not kill them. And we said, we're not going to kill you. They were worried we'd kill them during the funeral. I mean, if you can believe it, what a crazy... Did you ever think I'd be doing this for a living? Marco? Did anybody ever think I'm doing... Maybe Pete, but this wasn't supposed to be for me. Pete loved this stuff from day one. But they said to us, please don't kill us during the funeral. I said, I won't. And we didn't. We didn't do anything. In fact, we made it safe for them, actually. And what happens? They try and knock out two ships, a Saudi and I guess Kuwait, right? Kuwaiti? Oh, no, Qatari. In addition, really three. So you had 3 of them. And they just, I just don't know with them. A lot of people say they're very dishonorable people and they can't keep a deal. So we'll see. Now, as to whether or not Steve Witkoff, Jared, and JD and everybody working on that will talk, I guess they could talk, but I'm not seeing it with them, with the people. My whole life is deals. I don't see it. I don't see it with them. And there may be a big attack, and it'll knock out a lot of stuff. We don't knock out nothing. We knock out a lot. Pete, do you want to tell them about last night?
Yes, sir. Last night, as you said, a lot of small craft that they were trying to harass shipping with. So that was a big part of what we targeted. Underground facilities where they were storing drones or missiles, coastal defense sites, radar sites, surveillance sites, anything used to harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. So anything they thought they had rebuilt or capability they were using was a target last night. And tonight, if we need to, on your order, Mr. President, we will hit even more and even deeper. Because that's the consequence.
And we may put down the blockade. We may put it back, the blockade. And it'll only be a blockade for Iran. Anybody else can have whatever they want.
Hell
Now, of course, they'll drop some mines if they can, if they can do it.
That's what they do.
But it's hard because we're taking out those little boats now with the same weapon we used to take out the drug lords and the boats coming in by sea. Think of it, 97%. For years, we had fentanyl and all the other drugs coming in from different countries, including
Now,
Venezuela.
none.
And it was, they'd arrest them, they'd bring them to a court, they'd be released, and they'd be back on another boat the next. 97%. What was done in the past had no impact. 97% drugs down coming in by sea. And
Be careful, Daliar. We're praying for you, buddy.
now we're going to start doing it by land. The land is easy when we had to do sea first. And nobody, I think the 3% of the people that still do that, I think they're the bravest people in the world.
The
And maybe
bravest.
we should probably give them a medal for bravery. Because and we're using the same exact missile to take out the mine drop. They call mine droppers. But we have mine sweepers. And one of the things that came up today is that European nations, the NATO group, they're sending mine sweepers. We don't need them now. We have pretty much the mines that cleared up, but they'll probably drop some more. They're evil people. They're sick people. They're mentally disturbed people. And
sick.
Should have been done 47 years ago. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Branch.
We are working together. We were.
I figured out why the U.S. can keep fighting the war in Iran. Sometimes I hear things so dumb, I can only throw up my hands and laugh. Dumb. This looks like a meeting of the minds. Finally, some real political commentary.
got approached by a congressman. You said you're willing to tell the story at the UFC this weekend.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I went to the UFC fight at the White House, a congressman came up to me and he said something that I had never really thought about. And he said to me, he's like, thank you so much for your work. And I just want to let you know that because of all the fraud that you've exposed, that essentially like the war on Iran has been free because of you. Because of all the money that I've helped recoup and expose, and the money that's going to be saved in the future is in $200-300 billion.
Well,
like it's in the hundreds of billions
that's
of dollars.
crazy.
Like, this will not just impact this year.
He's actually making the country safer.
Hopefully for the future.
That's kind of a backhanded compliment, though. Son, you saved $300 billion, and we used it for bombs. Well, good job.
Yeah,
our entire war. Son, your savings helped the Emperor build the Death Star.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but it did just put it into perspective.
No, it's great what you did. What they did with the money's their issue, but yeah.
Yeah, very interesting perspective. I was like, I've never thought about that.
Wow.
But I mean, if you think about it, for the years to come, the changes that they're making will impact next 10 years.
Real time, uncensored, unstoppable. AlexJonesLive.com.
Wait, is there any point to using up all your revives for death, or do you get like bonus gold with them? Fuck, never mind.
You're playing with revives? Pretty cringe.
Wait, how far are you even in this game?
I don't. I would have to see your map.
Hold on. World map. Well, how can you tell by looking at the map?
Oh my god, you're further than me now.
Hurry. What does hurry do?
Yeah, I haven't beat the meaty bridge.
Damn, you suck. Yeah, I'm on difficulty 8. Are you even trying?
But you just play this off stream. You sit here and fucking play it for 10 hours.
No. If you push triangle for hurry, I don't understand what that does. Does it just make him go to the thing faster?
I have no idea either. I've seen that too, and I just was like, fuck.
Whatever. It skips a floor, I think. Oh, that's what it does. It auto kills everything on the first floor if you've already cleared it.
Oh, I don't like that though.
Asmongold is sick of hearing Hasan go at him for being algorithm captured and a lazy researcher.
Oh, this is
what
awesome.
About? Oh, is it awesome? We've got Pete Buttigieg doesn't know what tankies are.
Was fought over.
We've got Justical cringe tweets.
Oh yeah, what was the whole? Can you recap your whole Twitter thread with him? What were you guys yelling about? Just normal, regular retardation, or was it anything interesting?
I don't know. Link it.
It was just, you had like a 10 fucking tweet thread with him yesterday.
Yeah, fuck. That's why I said link it. Hold on.
You know, I'm mid game.
Click replies. So this guy tweeted, "Oh wow, no one brought anything to back up the claim that designates some evil dude who no one should associate with. Who would have guessed? Anyway, here's my new Discord. I'll be live again tomorrow. Waiting for you cowards. Finally step up. Waiting." That's his usurp the chief. Or chef, sorry. He quote tweets and says, "Might have something to do with your community and community leader repeatedly doxing critics on anyone's stream who is willing to have this conversation with them." Again, I'll repeat this. This claim makes literally no sense. If I was going to dox you because I'm just a hateful, evil person, why wouldn't I just dox you for saying that I dox people? It's one of the most, like, they kind of have to hold on to it because it's like one of the last refuges they have, but it's like the most thoughtless, brain-dead criticism in the universe. Also, I feel like I've doxed, like, it's been like 4 people, I think, right? It's not like I'm doxing every single person who said something mean or bad, or every single person who's critical of me or whatever. It's just such a cringe. It's just so cringe to hide behind this. But this is, I understand why I responded to this. I said, why are you repeatedly lying about being afraid of me when it hasn't stopped you from talking about me nonstop for the past 2 years? You even went as far as to lie to Pixie's attorneys about it. Very strange behavior. So, Justical and Pixie were kind of like scheming behind the scenes. I think that Justical initially was, I don't know if he was either gassing up Pixie or lying, because he always alluded to like knowing all this information about all these women that were going to come forward and either, I don't know, whatever. But here's Justical talking to Pixie. Do you mind if I say I sat down with your attorneys? And then Pixie says, yeah, sure. What day / what for exactly? And then Justical says, I just wanted to say it today. Brettler filed a motion out of opposition, and I'm going to say this is precisely why I refuse to give an affidavit, because doxing myself plus Destiny calling for my death is too much.
How did you even get this?
It's filed in the case. It's just public. This is a public document.
Oh, this is just in the case. Got it.
Yeah, but they fucked up their redaction, so they redacted his name, but you can see his stupid fucking, yeah, because their attorney team.
They're retarded.
They're everybody about it. Yeah, they're just a fucking joke. But like, this doesn't make any sense, because what he's implying here, what he's either implying to Pixie or what Pixie's implying to her lawyer or what they're implying to the world, is that he has all this information that they could use to put me away for good, but he's so afraid of me that he can't do it. He can't join. But like, I already know who he is. I know everything about him already. And he talks about me nonstop, constantly, right? This was a year and a half ago. So why are you saying that like, I was gonna give an affidavit, but I'm so afraid. So like, you're too afraid to give an affidavit, but you're not too afraid to talk about me constantly for years? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? He's just lying.
Makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Because he literally, if he was afraid, he wouldn't talk about you ever. He would just move on.
Yeah, like Zoe and Jacob, when they got doxxed by Blav, they just left immediately. Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
And then he says, you couldn't possibly be scared of my threats because you didn't give in to my blackmail. It's perhaps the most Destiny-coded take of all time. Well done. I don't know why he's responding to me now. Probably because all of his little peons have kind of gotten knocked over, because the talking points that he gives these people are literally indefensible. But it's like, but you did give in to my blackmail. What do you mean? You just said that you didn't file an affidavit with her case because you were scared of me. So wouldn't that mean you did give in? So then I said, but didn't you literally admit in those DMs that you did give in because you refused to join her court case in a more official capacity due to being afraid of me? So which is it? Are you afraid, or do you just make up lies to try to explain your behavior? And then I said, why did you tell Chair you'd be our Dr. K, by the way, base? He said, wasn't this in the context of filing for a PO governing discovery? Obviously, I'd refuse to sign an affidavit until they were able to protect identities, or at least until that motion had been ruled on. But why? I already know who you are. I don't know why he's saying this. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you're not protecting anything. And then he said, and then this is their talking point that they are really running with right now, which, like, even if true, I don't think it really does what they wanted to do, is somebody on Kiwi Farm said a while ago that there was a Discord group where me and a bunch of people were trying to find Rose, and as part of that Discord group, we were trading around all of her child porn, basically doing what Blav was openly doing on Kiwi Farms. And I don't know what they think, like, if they can prove this. I don't even know what, obviously, I guess it sounds bad. But it's not like nobody knew she was a kid at the time. So even if it was true, and it's not like we're like jerking off to this, we're trying to find who this person is. And again, everybody on Kiwi Farms is doing the exact same. But I think they think that like if they can prove this point, they can just use it as a talking point. So he tries to like hammer this home. When did you first realize you may have been holding on to hardcore pornographic CSAM Destiny? Seems like in August 2025, you're claiming you had no idea that she was a minor when you posted pictures of her to help Kiwi Farms dox her. So Kiwi Farms is already hosting pictures of her, like not safe for work material anyway. Are you sure there wasn't a record of you taking this concern seriously before her age was known? I don't even know. I really don't know what the point of this argument is. And then I said, you said you're afraid, but I already know who you are and your identity. There's no reason to not join the case except because you knew you were lying the entire time and none of it would actually hold up in court. You're one of the people who helped to bait Pixie into an unwinnable lawsuit while providing cover to an actual pedophile that was an active member in your friend Queeman's community. Why would you ever try to virtue signal about CSAM, capital L, capital O, capital L? And then they said, brother, the trafficking victim in question literally says that Solo was a huge fan of your streams. You know he was a way bigger participant in your community than anyone else's. Why do you lie about shit that's on the record? Laughing emoji. I had no idea Pixie was planning to sue you until she announced it. I have no idea why you think I did. The President Sunday / Beckett videos totally blindsided me. So this is saying, okay, when did you first become aware of who Stephen Bonnell is? And then Rose in her deposition said, I think in December, Ben really liked watching his streams. I remember what year, 2021. So this was true. He used to be a fan of mine, obviously. Who's going to catfish somebody you don't even know? But this was a long time ago. He was not an active participant in my community. I don't know where he got that ever. That's just a lie. Or if he is, he's on an account that I'm not aware of. And then I said, in the past, he was a fan of mine, but when he posted revenge porn of me and 5 other women online, he was an active poster in Queeman's Discord. You know this because you were literally speaking to him in there too. And when he said he had a harem of women, that he was still trafficking. Like, all of this is him talking to the Solo guy. This is all happening in Queeman's Discord, like this solo dude who was trafficking this woman, like literally, or girl, like, you know, literally says, Jessica's saying to him, it seems pretty evil to just be bored and to give you access to Rose's Discord. And he says, I'm not sure what you mean, to be honest. Are you talking about me or Rose? And then Jessica says, Rose. And the solo guy says, she's in my harem. Yeah, which is pretty gross considering we're talking about trafficking minor children here. So who knows how many other children this guy is trafficking? But I guess Pixie loves that.
It would
So
have
does
been nice
Jessica.
if you could have, you know,
Sued this guy.
done the lawsuit and
Kind of
sued
crazy.
this guy,
Pretty
found
crazy.
him.
Yeah, that these guys all know this. These are all just public conversations happening in these Discords. But I also wonder a little bit, and I've thought about this more, if there might be a closer connection between Solo and some of these other people than they would want to admit. Because apparently Solo was DMing Queeman, asking Queeman if he could like leak the revenge porn through him, and Queeman said he wasn't comfortable with that. So maybe that's one of the reasons also why they kind of shield this guy, is because they don't want anything like more, even if it's, I seriously doubt that they're like pro trafficking of children. That would be crazy. But I mean, like the Solo guy doesn't live that far from Queeman. I don't know. I'm speculating at that point. But yeah, Jessica even, you know, said this to me a couple of years ago. Most of his shit in Queeman's Discord was deleted, probably all of it. These more and more screenshots of him just chatting it up in Queeman's Discord. I'm guessing Queeman cleared his shit from my DMs. He often does. I'll check. More of him chatting in Queeman's Discord. More of him chatting in Queeman's Discord. I ask him which server is this in, and he says it's all in Queeman's Discord. Are you saying you thought or knew that Solo was a trafficker of multiple underage women on December 3rd, 2024? I don't know what he's even asking here. This is retarded. I said, no, but that's what he was claiming at Queeman's Discord. And he said more to you about it than he even did to me, right? In Queeman's server, right? So you acknowledge he was a huge fan of Queeman then. Cool. Again, he's chatting at Queeman's Discord. I think he chatted in his Twitch chat and everything as well. Why would this make him a huge fan of Queeman rather than just being someone who dislikes you? Someone who just dislikes me just happens to also have a Discord account chatting actively in Queeman's Discord is retarded. But I mean, like, I have screenshots of this Solo guy chatting in Queeman's Twitch chat. He like leaves comments on his YouTube videos. Yeah. Like you can see, Solo was so active in their communities, funnily enough, he even knew that Jessica was dating Cherry way back in December of 2024, which was 7 months before they even admitted that they were dating. And he says it in here. I think this is, again, I don't know if this was in Jessica's Discord or in Queeman's, but Solo says it here.
He was tapped in then.
Yeah, he was to these communities, very tapped in. Is Jessica dating Cherry? Ryle Kittenhouse says LeMayo. Solo says they sit in private VC all day together. Wild. And then Jessica says, well, I can see that he watched at least one Queeman stream. I'm guessing he's watched more than that single one. Queeman is an adjacent creator who has appeared on your stream. He also seems far more interested in talking about you than Queeman or Queeman's content, correct? Like, it's so desperate. Yeah. But that was my back and forth with him. Just cringe. We have... Wait, did you stream this morning?
Yeah.
Was this a nothing burger, or... The feds turn over evidence in Renee Good and Alex Preddy killings to Minnesota after months of delay. Federal prosecutors turned over key evidence long sought by Minnesota investigators in their ongoing probe into the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy during pitched protests against an immigration enforcement crackdown earlier this year. State prosecutors announced Monday. Oh, also, wait, real quick. Can somebody link me the current ICE shooting thing?
Oh, the one where they just murdered another guy?
Yeah, Brad asked me if I wanted to debate it, but I haven't seen anything about it, so I don't know if I...
Yeah, they like doing that. There's no good clear footage, and they weren't wearing body cams, so what do you want me to say?
Based. Well, not basement. Withheld hard drives containing statements, police body cam video, and other materials in the Minnesota killings. Federal prosecutors also turned over Good's badly damaged SUV. She said the good news is they had that SUV the whole time. Damn. Now we have all the evidence. Jesus. We'll see what comes of this.
Why was Brad shit talking my boy Hunter?
I don't know. I try to not look at the Hunter stuff too closely so I can continue to like him. Okay, nobody linked anything. Must not be that good. All right.
Type 1 if you love Biden.
For 250 years, Americans have governed ourselves as a free and sovereign people. We choose our own leaders, we determine our own laws, and when we're accused of a crime, we stand for judgment before a jury of our own peers. This is the essential and indispensable feature of our form of government. It is the foundation of our shared way of life. But today, powerful people in faraway places want to take that away from us. They believe that they should be in charge of your laws, of your country, your life, and they don't care whether or not you agree. Halfway across the world, there's an institution that calls itself the International Criminal Court. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. But chances are you don't know the names of its judges, of its prosecutors.
Most people don't know the names of our Supreme Court judges.
And you shouldn't have to. But as we speak, the ICC and its friends are waging a war against our country, not with bullets or missiles, but with statutes, and compacts, and the force of so-called international law. The ICC was born 24 years ago. They told us that it was merely a narrow backstop, a global court that would step in to prosecute only the gravest offenses, things like genocide and war crimes, and only when a nation's courts were unable to prosecute them on their own. But the truth is, it was something far more radical and extreme. It was a global tribunal staffed by unelected globalist bureaucrats who claim their power is almost unlimited. The danger of this global court has only continued to grow. Today, it threatens every aspect of our political and legal system. Border Patrol agents removing violent criminals from our country. American Marines risking their lives to defend our homeland. Prosecutors working to dismantle terrorist plots to attack and kill Americans. If we stand idle, all of them would be at the mercy of foreign judges thousands of miles away, facing the constant risk of prosecution and even imprisonment for the so-called crime of defending their own country. The American people never agreed to any of this, and they never will. Read the words of our Declaration of Independence. We fought a revolution against a foreign power, transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. Independence is our birthright. We will never let foreign bureaucrats take that away from us. This administration will not sit by as the ICC and its allies seek to threaten our people. If they believe they can deprive us of our sovereignty, we will teach them the full meaning of American resolve.
Why? Why are we just like randomly attacking the ICC?
Hey everybody, Dr. G here.
Hi all, I know I've been quiet the last year with what has been happening with my lawsuit, but I can partially explain to you all what I have been dealing with TLDR. I hired Denham's legal defense team, and they will be representing me going forward. I intend to continue to fight the lawsuit. Now on to the detailed version. Unlike what has been said and speculated, my previous legal defense team has been in communication with Ethan's team since August of 2025. During this time with Ethan's team, it was months and months of settlement negotiations. Months? How long do you need to do this? When you enter settlement negotiations, you are given a list of ways to potentially settle, which I ultimately disagreed with. After settlement negotiations failed, my case defaulted. After my case defaulted, I attempted to find a new lawyer. I reached out and scheduled a meeting with Denham's legal team, and now here we are. I've retained them, and they will be representing me going forward. If you're in settlement negotiations, then file something with the court and tell them. Well, Trump administration launches effort to isolate International Criminal Court. Isn't she fucked already since she defaulted? I don't think so. Probably not, because this is a U.S. federal court. You could probably just file like an oopsies, and then they'll say, oh, we'll have another 17 years to figure it out. Good luck. Because nobody gives a fuck, and they have
no one cares.
Yeah. Was one agent at ICC was initially intended to prosecute only the gravest offenses. I don't know why the fuck.
Oh, did I not file a motion? Oh, Judge, please don't hurt me.
And they'll say, okay. Okay, this is just retreading a speech, basically. Okay, cringe.